Radio station.
Saturday, April 5th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Kaiser University's flagship campus transforms into the ultimate auto showroom. The Kaiser University Auto Show of the Palm Beaches with vehicles from nearly every manufacturer. Enjoy a relaxed, no-pressure environment to find the car of your dreams. Plus, it's free. Saturday, April 5th at 2600 North Military Trail, West Palm Beach. Call 561-478-5500 or visit residential.kaiseruniversity.edu for details.
Hi, it's Evan Cohen from Unsportsmanlike, and when it comes to the NBA, I'm like a kid in a candy store. Wednesday, the Heat hit the road for a showdown in Cleveland. Can Miami cool down the Cavs, or will Donovan Mitchell and company defend their turf? We go live at 6:30. Catch it all right here on ESPN 106.3.
As market dynamics change, the quality and service you receive from your accounting firm shouldn't. Partner-owned since 1923, Anshin Accountants and Advisors take the time to get to know you and your unique circumstances to help resolve complex issues and develop innovative tax and accounting solutions tailored to meet your goals. If you're a high net worth individual or business owner eager for a strategy to maximize tax savings, let Anshin deliver value where others can't. Visit anchin.com. Anshin Accountants and Advisors, recalculating what's possible.
Hi, I'm Scott Smith with Smith Ball Baez and Prather, Florida Injury Lawyers. As you have likely seen and heard, law firm advertising is at an all-time high. Attorney ads seem to be part of every radio and TV commercial segment. Some firms are even using paid actors and actresses to speak for them. At Smith Ball Baez and Prather, we know that the decision to hire a law firm should never be based on advertisements alone. It is our past results and many positive 5-star reviews that we encourage you to read at smithball.com to learn more about our law firm. We have board-certified lawyers. We have lawyers listed in the best lawyers in America and in super lawyers. But most importantly, we have experienced lawyers located right here in Palm Beach County and the Treasure Coast that are ready to be your advocate and your voice, and fully prepared to start fighting for your legal rights today. Our purpose, legal power. Our mission, huge results. If you've been injured, the lawyers at Smith Ball Baez and Prather will help. Call us at 500-HELP, 500-HELP. With Smith Ball Baez and Prather, help is just a local phone call away. Offices Palm Beach Gardens, Boca Raton, and Port St. Lucie.
Hey everyone, it's Kevin Love.
This is Bam Adebayo.
This is Terry Rozier.
This is Jaime Jaquez Jr.
This is Nikola Jovic.
This is Duncan Robinson.
This is Tyler Hero of your Miami Heat, and you're listening to ESPN West Palm.
ESPN 106.3 is your home for Miami Heat basketball. Now, it's time for a little R&R.
All into the bucket, lays it up and in.
Ball game, Rizzo.
Live in the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios, this is Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 106.3.
This team is going to be tough when they finally get it together.
Sit back and relax. Let Russo and Rizzo take you home.
Oh, mercy! Light him up, Colin!
You know, some don't believe it, but there might actually be a story, some level of truth to karma with the basketball gods, with the football gods, with the baseball gods. You mess around, you get cute. Ball doesn't lie, is the old common phrase. We're live here from the TGL at the SoFi Center. It's Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 106.3. Colin Russo, Mike Rizzo, Christian Cat helping us out behind the glass. Over back in West Palm Beach at the City Place Studios, it's Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 106.3. Next 2 hours with you, live streaming as well on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter at ESPN West Palm as well. Packed show today, a little Steve Policino a little later on. We got TGL action tonight at 7 p.m. on ESPN. The last action between the Atlanta Dream Golf Club and the Jupiter Lynx. The last of the regular season in the TGL, and then playoff are upon us in the TGL. But what do I mean by ball doesn't lie? The basketball gods, the karma attached to getting cute. The Dallas Mavericks have now, in a month since we have seen Luka Doncic traded in that blockbuster trade at the beginning of February, a couple days after February started, the Dallas Mavericks lost by 24 last night to the Sacramento Kings. Kyrie Irving hurt his knee. Kyrie Irving was able to get up and hit his free throws and then was helped off the court. It is now being reported that Kyrie Irving has suffered a torn ACL and is out for the foreseeable future, including the rest of this NBA season. Then all of a sudden it comes out a little later on after this Kyrie news that Anthony Davis is going to, quote, huddle up, according to Shams Charania of the ESPN, huddle up with his team and determine whether it is the right move to come back and play this season or just to shut down, reset, repeat, and get healthy in the offseason for next season. So if you're sitting there and you're the Dallas Maverick fan, you were a grand total of 9 months ago in the NBA Finals against a team that was better than you, but knocked off a bunch of good teams, including the Thunder, in the playoffs, and a couple games away. You never really were in the series, but you're a couple games away, nonetheless. Now, all of a sudden, 9 months later, your two best players are down for the count. Your superstar face of the franchise was traded away. And you're going to be hanging around the lottery for the foreseeable future, at least for this year, at the 10th spot in the play-in. That's where the Mavericks are now versus where they were a little under 9 months ago. I don't know if there's been a worse mismanagement era, 3-month period, 2-month period, that has crippled the franchise in recent memory like the Dallas Mavericks have dealt with.
It's tough to think of one. And as far as the Mavericks, when you look at them trading Luka Doncic, it cost them maybe a year and a half, right? I mean, you're going to lose this whole year, and then next year, is there, Kyrie torn ACL?
He's not going to be ready.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
He'll be ready maybe by Christmas.
So when is he going to be back? Hopefully Christmas, we think. Anthony Davis, when he's not with LeBron James, is he going to be healthy? I know that's kind of an unfair thing to say, but the Mavericks went from being a title contender with Luka Doncic to now probably in the lottery, and this is different from the last time they were in the lottery was when you had Luka and Kyrie and they were new, and it was a planned lottery. This is a complete nightmare in the sense of Anthony Davis, in the sense of Kyrie Irving, and needing this thing to work out because you got rid of one of the biggest superstars in the NBA. How many times have we heard, the Dallas Mavericks better win a championship? If you're going to trade Luka Doncic, you better win a championship. Well, here we are, and they're more on their way to the lottery for the next couple of years than I think they are championship ready. Now, we'll see if Davis and Kyrie can get healthy and get this team back in the saddle next year at some point. But, Colin, for the next foreseeable future, they are done, and that's what happened. That's what happens when you trade one of the best players in the NBA.
When you play around with the basketball gods, they make you pay, and the basketball gods have made their opinion abundantly clear on the dark cloud that is now over that Dallas Mavericks organization. They have to deal with it with the Cowboys, and now you got to deal with it with the Dallas Mavericks. A complete, utter mismanagement, and you got to feel for the fan. The fan was sitting there thinking, all right, well, based off rumor, based off interpretation, it was apparent that there wasn't even a conversation about Luka Doncic's alcohol problem or his eating problem or his weight issue or him being in shape. That was all speculation from the top down, and there was never, allegedly, conversations between either side. And now they shipped him off, thinking that, all right, well, defensively we want to be a rock-solid defensive team. Jason Kidd looked like he was being held hostage in the introductory interview. Anthony Davis played well, but played a grand total of 3 quarters in the first game he played for the Mavericks and then got hurt, and we haven't seen him since. And now Kyrie Irving, who has been somewhat of a revitalized version of himself since he has gotten to Dallas, but now he suffers a season-ending knee injury, and you got to feel for the guy. You got to feel for the fan, too. Because now the Dallas Mavericks are going to be scraping at the bottom of the lottery, entering the Cooper Flag sweepstakes. Mm-hmm. That is where the Dallas Mavericks are now versus where they were 2 months ago. And it wasn't pretty, but Luka was hurt, and he got back in the thick of things, and they would have been all right. Because you always have that bona fide star. Right. Now all of a sudden you're going to enter 10 months from now, and you're going to have 2 32-year-olds coming off season-ending injuries if Anthony Davis does get shut down, and I assume he will. I don't know why he would play.
Why would he, yeah. With
and
Kyrie
the same
out.
thing could happen to Kyrie. I don't know why he would play. Go tank, get a good pick in the draft. But now you got 2 guys who are 32-year-olds who have no playing time together, and you're going to have to figure it out at some point in mid-year to try to make a run, because then you fast forward another year, and then both these guys are entering father time. Neither of these 2 players have are going to sniff the longevity of somebody like LeBron or Durant. So off of that, I got to assume that this prime is only a couple of years, and they're in a lot of trouble. I can't, in terms of a miserable fan base at the moment, you got to feel for them.
And both of them have miserable injury history. Like Anthony Davis, miserable. I know not with the Lakers, but before that, Pelicans, whatever, bad injury history. Kyrie Irving dating back to college. I know he was nonetheless pretty healthy with the Cavaliers. He was injured with the Celtics. God only knows what happened with the Nets. Was he injured? Was he just not playing? But are these guys going to be able to stay healthy? Are they going to be stars that you're even going to be able to rely on? They need a face of the franchise. They need a face of the franchise.
They need health.
I think they need their 1A player. Kyrie was a 1A player 2-3 years ago. Anthony Davis, I thought he turned into a 1A player.
He was great. He had 27 and 15 by the time he left the game. So he's great. So you can't say that. That's not fair. But the idea is they're not on the court. That I agree with.
I don't think Anthony Davis is winning you a title. So
my point is neither of those two are going to be playing the rest of the season.
I don't think Anthony Davis is capable of winning a title. They need their 1A. Luka. And it was the reason they were in that title game. Now you could say that Luka, maybe the ownership was mad he didn't play defense. His attitude was bad in the finals. I remember the stories coming out of the finals last year. It said Luka was immature. Whatever, he's a young kid. But to just go up and trade your face of the franchise
without even talking to him.
It's just insanity.
That ownership has put themselves in such a black cloud with the organization and the fan base that they're not going to listen to a thing they say the rest of the way. That Dumont family, one of the worst owners. They talk about blowing it all up because you think it's going to work out. And now all of a sudden, Nico Harrison's going to be their fall guy, and the next guy after that is not going to want to take that job. And then all of a sudden, everybody's going to turn to that ownership, and Mark Cuban's going to be rolling over thinking that why the hell did I sell this team?
Right, and we could split hairs about AD and whatever. We could both agree that Luka is a top 3, darn near top 2 player in the NBA. You don't trade your face of the franchise like that without a plan. It seemed like that the Dallas Mavericks did this on a whim, and we're just it seemed like it came down from ownership, and it's just like, yep, get rid of him. Oh, okay, we're gonna get rid of him. All right, I got this deal. Should we go ask anybody else? Nope, looks good. It sounds. They just wanted him out of the building as quickly as possible, which I just can't fathom. And it is karma. I do believe in karma. All right, this is karma.
That's
for
the basketball gods making it clear
for the way that they dealt with him, and it was embarrassing for Luka. It was embarrassing for Luka to not know that he was going to get traded, and not even to have the organization not tell him anything. And I just. It's still something I don't make sense of. It's still one of those situations, Colin, where you sit here, you scratch your head, and you go, okay, if you had a problem with Luka and his weight, talk to him about it. If you had a problem with his drinking or whatever the hell it is, talk to him about it. You don't just trade one of the best players in the NBA.
I don't remember. I mean, other than the Deshaun Watson trade, those two are, in terms of backfiring almost immediately, it's laughable how immediate this backfire was.
And to answer your question, I didn't want to go there because I didn't want to sound like a homer, but I think Brown fans have something to argue with when it's to Dallas. I mean, you went from making the playoffs and having what you think is a franchise quarterback in Mayfield to upgrading to Deshaun Watson, and now you're
at 6 picks, 3 first-rounders.
And now you're done.
Taking $90 million of his current contract and then paying $240 million fully guaranteed with no trading opportunities.
There you go.
That's where they get.
Colin, it might be a decade till I see. I might be dead the next time the Browns win a playoff game.
Unbelievable. I mean, we're talking tortured fan bases. Who has it worse than the Dallas Mavericks in the last month? 888-760-3776. The number to get into the program on Russo and Rizzo. 888-760-3776.
Now, San Antonio losing Wemby. I know he's not off of the team,
Popovich.
Colin. Yeah, he's not off of the team like Luka Doncic, but losing Wemby for the rest of the year right after you trade for De'Aaron Fox. They were really excited about the dynamic between Fox and Wembanyama, and I think for that injury,
that's freak injury, and so are the Mavericks. Right. But they put themselves in that position. That's mismanagement. You're talking about mismanagement.
All right, I got
versus
one.
Injury.
All right, hang on. I think we ignored probably the closest one, the New York Jets.
Yeah.
The New York Jets
with
the Aaron Rodgers
the Jets
saga.
Are as miserable as it gets. The Browns as miserable as it gets. The Mavericks. I mean. No, we're a year away from the finals, but in terms of outlook, grim outlook, confidence in the ownership and management, that's got to be up there.
Yep.
I mean, the Sacramento Kings have blown it up a couple of times now, and they have never figured it out.
They got a lot of first – yeah.
After a great – and they had a good trade.
They did.
Getting rid of Fox. But they thought they had it there. They thought they had that team.
Yep.
Another one. They just cannot figure it out. The Charlotte Hornets cannot just figure it out. But those are teams that it's like they were winning. They had the lottery ticket won, and then they threw it away. You threw it away. You traded it, the lottery ticket unscratched, for like a bottle of bourbon. And then all of a sudden you shake it away, and you scratch it away, and then the other team wins the lottery. That's where the Lakers are. The Lakers are 10-2 since that trade, and 8-2 with Luka. And the Mavericks now, I got one total game out of Anthony Davis, and Kyrie Irving's now out for the year. Talk about as backfired as it gets, that trade right there.
I think the Dolphins are a tortured lot, too. You thought you had a lightning in a bottle with McDaniel.
That's a lack of confidence in the ownership and the management as well.
And Tyreek. Like now, when they play in cold weather, that's the issue. But they go from making the playoffs and having Tua being a top 5 quarterback in the league one year to, oh my God, is Tua even going to be around a year from now?
Injury luck, not mismanagement, though.
Yeah, agreed. But it's still a tortured lot that hasn't won anything since the great Don Shula.
The comparison are the Jets and the Browns. Those are the two comparisons. That's mismanagement that burned them. Mismanagement that killed them in that spot. I know the Chicago Bulls blew it up when Jordan got out of town, and that was a bit of a rebuild on that. But that was a retirement that stemmed that.
Yeah.
That wasn't necessarily them worrying about something.
How about Derrick Rose, too, that injury? That set them back. Now, I know they were back a few years later in the playoffs. I remember they were up 2-1 against the Cavs at one point when LeBron came back a second time, but they never really recovered after that D. Rose injury.
They were the 1 seed. They lost to the 8 seed in 4 straight games after that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's an injury luck, though.
And that's ancient history, too. That's like 10 years ago. So it's not necessarily recent.
You know what the type of disappointment I could compare it to, maybe I'm being a bit hyperbolic, is the St. Louis and the Oakland fan that loses their professional sports teams. That's what pops to mind in terms of just the grim outlook on that team, on that franchise. A Dallas Maverick fan who was so stoked about having that great player right there and Luka Doncic, and now all of a sudden you got a handful of nothing? Oh, my God. Reminded me of when they had that last game in Oakland, the reverse boycott game where they filled up the stands. That's what it's reminding me of.
Now, I got one, too, here. It's an NBA. The 76ers, they go from trust the process to tanking.
Injuries.
They have Joel Embiid.
Signed Paul George to a bad contract.
Which I think everybody and their mother could have told you that was a bad deal.
Went with Tobias Harris over Jimmy Butler.
Yeah, but I think the biggest thing is how bad that Embiid contract is. Like, you finally got your star in Joel Embiid.
Well,
you got your face in the franchise.
He has to get healthy because they could medically retire him. And then all of a sudden that all gets voided.
Yeah.
So that's an option.
But even his antics too, even the whole I've done so much for this city. Like, I feel like Philly fan hates him now. It's like that's turned into a really ugly situation. Now they do have Maxey. Maxey's a fine young player. You could probably
not as bad as the Mavericks had the golden ticket. They had the golden ball there. The key to the NBA is having that bona fide tier 1 star. They had one.
Is there
in their grasp in his prime, ready to sign a supermax extension?
I'm ready for the 30 for 30 already. I mean, I know that's not going to happen for years, decades maybe, because Luka's just starting really.
And it's going to hurt even more and more as the Lakers continue to win, if they continue to win. And if they're putting together a good postseason run, that will make Mavericks fans absolutely sick. And it should.
And the Lake, like I told you, outside of I like the Thunder. You got to see it to believe it with the Thunder, which I completely understand. But I'd even put them over at this point, the Denver Nuggets. And I know the Nuggets have had the Lakers number. But right when this trade happened, I said, how can't they be the favorites in the Western Conference?
888-760-3776. Who has it worse than Maverick fans? It's Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 106.3 live from the SoFi Center in Palm Beach Gardens, Florida. We got a packed program ahead, so stick around for it. But we're going to be talking some more tortured fan bases. Call in with yours, 888-760-3776. It's Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 106.3.
Live from the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 1-800-747-FREE. This is ESPN 106.3.
Attention, South Florida! The PGA Tour champions and the Pro Football Hall of Fame are teaming up for a one-of-a-kind event, the James Hardy Pro Football Hall of Fame Invitational. From March 31st to April 6th, the action takes over the old course at Broken Sound in Boca Raton, featuring Hall of Fame legends like Warren Sapp, Calvin Johnson, Andre Reed, Rondé Barber, Chris Carter, and more. Tickets are on sale now at JamesHardyInvitational.com. Don't miss your chance to be a part of the home of legends.
At St. Lucie Battery and Tire, batteries came before tires. We've been selling and servicing all types of batteries for over 50 years. So when you need a battery for nearly anything, we have it, as well as the fast, professional installation you need. We carry premium batteries for all your needs: automotive, commercial, marine, RV, and specialty. We also offer delivery and on-site installation, serving our customers quality products for over 50 years in the home of honest, reliable service. Go to slbt.com and book your next appointment.
Welcome to Recycle Right Trivia, sponsored by the Solid Waste Authority of Palm Beach County. Question 1. What belongs in the yellow recycling bin?
Newspapers, cereal boxes, magazines?
Correct! Now, blue bin. What goes in there?
Plastic bottles, aluminum cans, glass jars?
You nailed it! Remember, Palm Beach County, recycle right and stay in the game for our planet.
Hey, ref, time out, man. All right, team, we're only down by 5. We can still win this. Grab some water and get back out there. Wait, no, not that water. That's full of contaminants and pharmaceuticals. You need Culligan water. With their free water test and reverse osmosis purification system, you'll have clean, refreshing water just like a slam dunk. Schedule your free consultation today at Culligan.com. Culligan, your partner for better water.
Hey, Culligan man!
As market dynamics change, the quality of service you receive from your accounting firm shouldn't. Anshin Accountants and Advisors take the time to get to know you and your unique circumstances to help resolve complex issues and develop innovative tax and accounting solutions tailored to meet your goals. If you're a high net worth individual or business owner eager for a strategy to maximize tax savings, let Anshin deliver where others can't. Visit anchin.com. Anshin Accountants and Advisors, recalculating what's possible.
What's the Anajar Levine difference? When you're injured in a car crash, we focus on your case so you can focus on the one thing that matters most: getting better. I'm Glenn Levine with Anajar Levine. We'll fight to get you the maximum compensation you deserve. Call our legal team right now for a free consultation. 1-800-747-FREE. We'll help you take back control of your life. Call 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-3733. In office, West Palm Beach. I'm only human, y'all. I'm only human, y'all. I'm only human, y'all. I'm only human, y'all.
Let's get back to the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. This is Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 106.3.
Russo and Rizzo rolling on here live from the SoFi Center in Palm Beach Gardens, Florida. Colin Russo, Mike Rizzo, Christian Cat with you as always. Tortured fan bases. I think the Dallas Mavericks, that fan base has graduated themselves into a whole new level of tortured fans. Because now all of a sudden they're going to have to watch Luka Doncic for the rest of his career, for the next 15 years, 10 years. Probably dominate the NBA with a premier destination, with a premier team, with a Premier League run team. That is up there. That is one of the poorest trades in short term that I have ever seen. And now they're going to sit there and watch him with Anthony Davis and Kyrie Irving in street clothes on the sideline.
Yeah.
Watching the rest of the season, playing for a lottery pick when you're a year away from the NBA Finals. When there's no reason to blow it up, doesn't necessarily mean you need to go and do it. Oh, my God. 888-760-3776, the number to get into the program on Russo and Rizzo. That's 888-760-3776. Who's got it worse than the Maverick fan right now? I mean, are there fan bases that could be comparable to this? There's different types. We should probably label some criteria in terms of a tortured fan base, because I would say there's probably 3 different types. The 3 different types of bad, tortured fan bases are the one. Let's establish the first one.
Recency.
No, those are the teams that are good, but can never win. The teams that are good but can never win. The Packers are one of these. The Packers come to mind. The Buffalo Bills come to mind. Those are teams that are good. They can't win. Dallas Cowboys, I'd say, is one. That's a criteria for a torture.
But I don't feel bad for a Packer and a Cowboy fan.
You feel bad for a Bill fan?
Absolutely.
So how can you feel bad for a Bill fan but not for the other
because they have had success.
Cowboys haven't won a playoff game in 30 years.
But in the Super Bowl era, they've had success, so I can't feel bad.
Been to a Super Bowl.
Absolutely not. I don't feel bad for Cowboy or Packer fan.
Hold on, Cowboy fans are Maverick fans.
They consistently win 12 games and have really good teams.
Well, how can you say that about them but not about the Buffalo Bills?
Because the Bills were horrible for a while, and now they got a really good team, and they can't get over Patrick Mahomes.
But they've been great for 7 years. I mean, how long do you have to be great for them to?
No. We can't put the Packers and the Cowboys on there. I don't want to sit here and be the end all be all here because I'm not.
My criteria is the team has to be good, but they can never win the big one. And they lose in horrible fashion consistently.
But
the Packers fall under that?
Doesn't history have something to do with it, though? I mean, the Packers won 15 years ago. They won 10 years ago.
Sure.
2010.
How would you categorize their playoff success in the last 15 years?
It has not been up to par. But they had a 4-time MVP in Aaron Rodgers, won the NFC North numerous times. I don't see them as I see them as a team that's consistently good more than a tortured team. They're not tortured. They win all the time. The Bills are tortured.
They lose emphatically all the time.
The stigmatism with the Bills is that
that what? You're going to say the same thing that you just said about the Packers.
They can't get it done.
That's exactly what the Packers are doing.
The Packers got it done 15 years ago and won the first two.
But since that 14 years, what's our length of time here? What about the Cowboys? They can't get it done?
The Cowboys won 5 in the 90s and are America's team.
How long ago is that?
The Cowboys won 5.
How long ago is that?
It was a long time ago.
Mike, it was 30 years ago.
They won 5.
They haven't been in the NFC title game since then.
I will never feel bad for a team that has 5 Super Bowls. I will never label a team that's tortured.
How many Cowboy fans watched the Rodgers Staubach years? How many of them watched those 2 Super Bowls?
Dude, the Cowboys consistently won 10, 12 games when I was growing up.
So
absolutely not. And 2 years ago they won 12 games.
I understand the Bills are a different level because they haven't won the big one. But how can, in terms of the last 20 years, how can you say the Cowboys are much different than what the Bills were in terms of tortured franchises?
But the history factor goes into it with the Bills. They went to 4 and lost all 4. There was success there with the Cowboys. There was some sort of relevancy when it comes to winning with the Cowboys. With the Bills, it's just, oh my God, they lost again.
We're talking about fan bases.
Blew it again.
We're talking about fan bases. People that watch the games. People that go to the games. People that spend their money on the games. The ticket holders. We're talking about them. How many of those Cowboy fans really relished in the Troy Aikman years? I'm sure a good chunk of them, but we're talking about 30 years here. So we're talking about people 45 and up who are able to appreciate that. Other than that, those people haven't seen anything.
You will never be able to convince me that a Cowboy fan or a Packer fan is a tortured fan base.
I agree.
I'm completely
but if you're going to say that, then you can't. It's hard to say that about the Bills.
The Bills lost 4 They've been to 4,
but
lost 4.
You can't bring up the 90s
now
when you're going to throw away the 90s.
And now the Bills can't get past Patrick Mahomes. It's always something. It's always something with the Bills.
I agree. I'm on the team that all 3 of them are.
Okay.
But you're gonna. I'm not gonna sit here.
Yeah, I will not put.
I'm saying it's a criteria. You're good, but you can never get it done. The Steelers, another one. Good, you never get it done.
Oh my God, no, dude! 6 Super Bowls for the Steelers.
Again.
6 Super Bowls.
You want to bring up the 4 in the 70s? You want to bring up the 4 in the 70s?
No, I want to bring up the 2 in the early 2000s. And consistently good. Mike Tomlin's never had a losing season.
Point is, your definition here is that they have to win games.
So they're
and then they have to lose. They can't get it done. Well, how would you categorize the Cowboys in the last 30 years? Define it for me. What would that look like?
Underwhelming, no doubt.
Underwhelming.
Underwhelming.
Is it what I just said?
Underwhelming.
Is it have they been good in the regular season? And they can't get it done in the regular season.
Yes, they've been good teams. They've 10-12 wins consistently year in and year out, more often than not.
Okay, and so why are we alleviating that? Because what? Roger Staubach won 2 in the 70s? Because Aikman won 3 and 4 years in the 90s?
Yes.
You didn't even watch that.
Because of their past success.
How are you going to sit here and say that? You think the Cowboy fan is really thinking, oh, man, I think of it. Why do we give the Cowboys crap? Why do we give them crap?
Because they're America's team.
Because they can't get it done. And they can't get it done, and it's laughable how they can't get it done. That's why we make fun of the Cowboys. That's why everybody that's why that franchise has a target on them. Yeah, they're a big brand. Yeah, they get actual big game on primetime TV. But the reason we make fun of them is because they can never get it done. So let's flip that. But what about the fan? Let's turn 180 there. The fan is the one getting targeted here. And I know it's Cowboys versus the world, and it's an arrogant bunch. And the same thing with the Packers, in my opinion. And that's fine. But I'm just trying to define it here. In terms of disappointment, the Cowboys fit the bill.
I disagree. I disagree.
Then what do you call the last 30 years for the Cowboys? Excitement?
I guess it's all who you root for in relevancy, because I do not feel bad for a Cowboy fan, and I never will. Being the team that I root for, I will never feel bad for a Packer fan. I will never feel bad for a Cowboy fan.
When is it?
I will never
when can you start to feel bad for a team based on prior success?
I will never feel
so
bad.
If prior success is a big, I guess, point in terms of whether you could feel bad for a franchise's fan base or not. At what point? Where's the line? Draw me it.
The line is the Bills.
Clearly not in the 90s.
There's no line with the Bills. The line is the Bills.
Timeline. Where? When are we drawing that line? It doesn't work in the 90s. If to your argument for the Cowboys, when do
history in general, Super Bowl era. No one counts anything past the Super Bowl. Yeah,
now
absolutely.
Didn't
Super
you just
Bowl
say
era.
20 minutes ago the Dolphins were franchise?
Yeah, but they don't have 5 Super Bowls, Colin.
Hold on a second.
They don't have 6 Super Bowls like the Steelers.
Hold on a second.
It's being unfair
here. The Dolphins are great. The Dolphins were great. They won 2 in a row. They won undefeated. What about them?
Yeah, but they didn't win 5. They didn't win 5. 5 and 2 is a completely different thing. The face of the NFL. The Cowboys were the face of the NFL.
Two since 1967.
3 different eras. The Cowboys were the face of the NFL.
I know that it's talking about the face of the NFL versus whether they succeed in the postseason or not. There's 2 different questions. My point being is that listen, I understand. I understand that more recent success, but I mean the Dolphins had to deal with the Marino years, and then they have to deal with what's going on now. They haven't won a playoff game in forever, so you have to deal with that. Fine, but they've had prior success. What about the Raiders? They were great for a 15-year period.
They've been bad for so long. It's under that stigmatism.
So how are you going to say it for the Raiders
been bad for so
and not going to say it for the Cowboys?
Because the Cowboys win 10, 12 games. The Raiders don't win 12 games.
What about the Bills? So let's circle back there, because the Bills were winning 10. They just led the league in the. They just led the AFC.
And they were miserable for years after the 90s,
Fine,
though.
But
and there's that stigmatism that they can't get it done. They lost 4 in a row in the Super Bowl.
I agree.
That's a tortured fan base.
The last 10 years.
They lost.
How's the last 10 years?
The last 10 years have been even worse.
So I agree with you. I'm talking about the Bills.
The last 10 years have been even worse.
Success. You're not circling around to your points. Your points were the regular season success here, and then the postseason success there, and then the timeline there. I'm bringing it up. If the regular season success is a big component, how about the Bills in the last 10 years? If that's a big component, it's a mixture of everything. I think there's a big umbrella we could put these teams under.
Dude, you're missing the bell here. You can't compare the Bills fan base and the Cowboys and say the Cowboys are right on the level of tortureness than the Buffalo Bills.
I'm not saying they're next to each other. I'm saying they're under the same umbrella.
No, they're not. I will never listen to that. That's just my personal opinion.
How do you categorize the Cowboys fan in the last 30 years? How do you categorize that? I don't feel bad for them because it's the Cowboys, and the Cowboys are an arrogant bunch. Maybe the Bills have a nicer tone to that fan base, and they have a nicer reputation because it's Bills Mafia. It's a proud fan base, small market city. There's a lot that goes into that. You're talking about a team and whether it's a big market with a big team always in prime time, and they always what? They always what, Mike? They always disappoint. They always disappoint. So that is not a torture. That's not a tortured franchise. They have to deal with that ownership. They have to deal with hiring Brian Schottenheimer. That's not tortured.
They
didn't get rid of Jason Garrett for 15 years. That's not tortured.
I mean, winning 10, 12 games, it's hard to get rid of somebody. It's hard to get rid of a guy who's winning consistently 10, 12 games and competing for a division and a home playoff game.
And you can say the same thing about the Bills.
For the last 7 years, the Cowboys have been doing it a lot longer and been a lot more consistently good than the Bills. Before Josh Allen, they were awful. They had a couple of years with Marshawn Lynch where they won like 6, 7 games. Before that, they were terrible.
I understand. But my point being is the criteria I just listed was good in the regular season, successful, but can't get it done. That was my criteria. Would the Bills fall under that conclusion? Yes. Would the Cowboys fall under that conclusion in the last 30 years? Yes. Would the Dolphins fall under that? They haven't been great always, but when they do get there, they fail. Yes. That's the criteria I listed. That's the argument I'm presenting. I'm not saying that the one is more tortured than the next. I'm not trying to put this in a hierarchy. I'm saying the criteria for a tortured fan base, I think, can be categorized, and I don't think it's fair, is that a team that never gets it done in the big game.
Will never feel bad for a Cowboy or a Packer fan.
That's your opinion. That fits the criteria. Fits the criteria, Mike. Tell me why it doesn't. Like we just listed it, and you agreed with the criteria. That was one criteria. They fit that. Whether you feel bad for them or not is your decision. That's your discretion.
They're not a tortured fan base, but I understand the point.
You're good in the regular season, and then you stink in the postseason. A lot of teams fall under that. A lot of teams do that. Hey, that's it. That's how it is. Bulls never got it done in the last 25 years. I don't feel bad for them, but it's still, the criteria still fits.
But tortured's a big word, man. You know, tortured's a big word. That's why I'm so strongly about this, because the Cowboys had tortured. I mean, this is America's team, historically one of the most successful teams. I understand the recency bias thing.
How do you feel about the ownership? We say this.
I like Jerry Jones. I think it's been.
They have a bad owner. They hire bad head coaches. They never get it done in a big game. They can't. They always deal with injuries. They always got a ton of negative publicity surrounding their players. They got a bad culture, but they're a big brand. Everybody watches them. They sell. Fine. If you want to be a good business, yeah, you're right.
They win games.
As an S&P 500, as a business, I don't feel bad for the Cowboys. But in terms of what they can accomplish and them actually winning a big game, they fit the bill. They fit the criteria.
So your big thing is recency playoff success.
30 years is recent?
Recently
yes,
playoff
30,
success.
30 years counts as recent, yes. That would fit the bill for me. And you can't say the same. I understand the Raiders have not had nearly the amount of success that the Cowboys had.
You need to make the playoffs.
That's just
in order
a miserable
to get
franchise.
To the dance.
That's a different. That's the Texans. That's the Jaguars of the world. Those are teams that can never get there. That's been the Raiders since then. And I know they've had a couple years here and there, whatever, and a couple bad, the Tuck rule, the whole thing. But in terms of a criteria of a tortured fan base, I think a team that is good, that can't get it done in the big game, listen, you don't have to weep for them, but you got to have some sympathy for them because they can never get it done in the big spot. What about the Brewers? Do they count?
They're up there. I mean, it's tough with baseball because I feel like with baseball, it's a little different with the amount of games.
How about
you
your
play
Guardians?
And how long
Hold on a second. Mike Rizzo, 5 seconds ago, just wept to me about how bad and he didn't want to get into it, how bad the Guardians are in a big spot, but they're always there. So how is that? Well, how does one not work and the other does?
Because we haven't won a World Series since '48, and the Packers won a Super Bowl in 2010, and the Cowboys have 5.
But you're
That's
always there.
why.
But you're winning. But you're winning 90 to 100 games a year. What about that? You just said that. That was your argument, right?
But you're missing the big point of past success in the playoffs, winning championships.
And I agree with you. And I fit the criteria, but I'm using your argument against you.
Fair enough.
It doesn't fit on
it fits.
It's not consistent.
It fits because it's hard to feel bad for someone who roots for a really good franchise.
You know what it is?
The Packers are a really good franchise who have numerous Super Bowl wins, and one is Reese's 15 years ago.
A lot of crazy, disappointing, heartbreaking losses. Can we say that? Yes. Can. I'm not saying I feel bad for them. I'd trade my position for the Packers any day of the week. But there's a level to this. I'm just setting a criteria. But you to say that this doesn't exist, that the Cowboys' disappointment doesn't exist is another thing. That I will not agree with. Their disappointment doesn't exist? Really? We sure? You think the Cowboy fan is so stoked? I mean, I'm sure they're happy about it, but do you think that puts them to sleep at night, that they get the 425 game? You really think that really satisfies them?
It's just hard for me to look at a Cowboy fan and call him tortured. I don't think it'll never resonate with me.
All right, well, let's move on. Number 2, good team, can't get it done in a big game. That's criteria number 1 for a tortured fan base. Number 2, I would say tortured fan base is a team that never gets anything done. Fair?
Fair.
Never gets anything done. There's
the Kings.
1,000 teams that could fall under this. Never gets anything done. And third, I would say where the Mavericks fall is had a chance to get something done, but squandered it, but blew it up.
Like dropped the ball, traded.
Mismanagement is the big umbrella I am using. Mismanagement.
Okay. Perfect.
That is bad ownership. That is bad management. That is bad coaching. That is off-field stuff, on-field stuff. That is where the Mavericks fall. And that's a very peculiar and a very niche criteria of a tortured fan. I think that's where the Maverick fans are. I think that's where they are.
Is there some teams that could be 2 and 3? I'm trying to think of an
Never
example.
get anything done and had a chance for mismanagement?
Yeah.
I would say the Kings.
Yep.
Kings had a good team. They were top of the Western Conference. They had Mike Brown in there, and all of a sudden things didn't click for a little bit, and then a couple injuries here and there, and all of a sudden everything's coming awry, and they're unwinding the whole operation.
I think the Browns fall under that too. They've never been good, and Watson and that whole
had
nightmare.
a chance to get something done, but mismanagement.
The Jets. They haven't
Who
been
really
in the,
expected them to, because they weren't even getting the Browns got there and the Kings got there.
Right.
The Jets never even got there.
Yeah, what's their playoff drought? Isn't it the longest in the NFL? The Jets shooting from the hip here.
It's winning a game or going there, yes.
It's going there. 2010, I think, was the last time.
Not to win. The win, I think, is longer.
Mark Sanchez and whatnot.
He won games that year.
Yep. But that's, wow. I mean...
So they didn't even get anything done to begin with. So it's not like you had a chance to get something done. That was all off hypothetical. They never won any big games.
Yep.
So I don't know if I'd include them in that regard. And the Dallas Mavericks, so the Browns, another one. The Jets are in number 2. They never get anything done. Mm-hmm. They can't get anything done. And number 1, the Bills, the good but can't get anything done in a big spot. That's the criteria there. So those are our 3 criterias of tortured fan bases. 888-760-3776, number to get into the program. Tortured fan bases. Who are your top tortured fan bases? Are you a fan of one? Let us know. 888-760-3776. It's Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 106.3. We got Steve Politziner coming up on the flip side, our Good Karma Brands president. Stick around for it. Should be a lot of fun.
Live from the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 1-800-747-FREE. This is ESPN 106.3.
Tired of being sidelined by a sports injury? Get back in the game with Baptist Health Orthopedic Care. Whether you're a professional athlete or even a weekend warrior, you can get back to doing what you love with our compassionate orthopedic team. Experience a new level of care and get back to your best. Welcome to being treated like a pro. Make an appointment today at baptisthealth.net/ortho or call 833-556-6764.
Cruise the campus, explore the circuit, experience F1 in Miami like never before. Your general admission ticket to the 2025 Formula One Crypto.com Miami Grand Prix is here. Immerse yourself in the action with unparalleled access to different campus zones. Enjoy thrilling activities, live entertainment, and endless food and beverage options while witnessing the race, all for less than $150 per day. Visit F1MiamiGP.com to secure your spot at the 2025 Formula One Crypto.com Miami Grand Prix, the race that's an experience.
Hi, Kevin Dalton here from the Unlimited Auto Wash. Enjoy unlimited inside and out hand washes for just $49.95 per month, less than the price of 2 washes. You'll get unlimited hand washes with sealer wax, dash, windows and vacuum, tire shined, and hand finished. All unlimited. Not a member? Stop and get a quick wash anytime at great prices. And during January and February, if you join our club, you'll only pay $25 a month for the first 2 months and then $49.95 thereafter. Visit us at unlimitedautowashclub.com or call 561-WASH-ME-TOO.
This spring, speed returns to South Florida. NASCAR weekend at Homestead Miami Speedway. Go get it done. Green. Where high octane meets the high banks. And gear up for spring break in the fast lane. 3 races, 3 days, one unforgettable weekend in racing paradise. NASCAR weekend at Homestead Miami Speedway. March 21st through the 23rd. Get your tickets now at homesteadmiamispeedway.com.
I know you be hearing this and that from here and there, but please trust and believe, little mama. I see you gon' ride for me, so I'ma die for you. Is you with me?
Let's get back to the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. This is Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 106.3.
Now that college basketball is in the thick of it, the NBA's in the thick of it with Kyrie Irving down, getting playoff implication games are coming up here. There's no better time to go get started over on the Hard Rock Bet app. You got playoff implications that happened last night at the TGL. You get the playoffs coming up, and now you can get involved there. Golf events, we get the Cognizant Classic over the weekend you can bet on with a bunch of profit boosts. Go get started on Hard Rock Bet today. Hard Rock's the best because you can go over to the Discover page and see what other users put together, what type of parlays they put together, trail, tap, just a few short taps on the app, and then all of a sudden you are doing it as well. If you try it now, you get up to $100 back in bonus bets if your first bet does not hit. That first bet can can be a parlay, can be a prop, can be the over, whatever you like to bet, any game you choose. Win that first bet and get the same amount you bet back as a bonus bet. Don't waste any time. You're going to be watching this stuff anyway. You might as well sprinkle a little action on it on Hard Rock Bet. It's offered by the Seminole Tribe of Florida. Must be 21 plus and physically present in Florida. The wager terms and conditions apply. Concerned about gambling? Call 1-888-ADMIT-IT. Welcoming in, wow, a good friend of the program, Mr. Good Karma Brands president himself. That's Steve Politzemer, the Palm Beach Sports Commission Hall of Famer, joining us now. Steve, hello. What's going on?
Gents, how are you? Colin, good to see you out on Sunday at the Cognizant Classic.
Yeah, Steve, give me a read on the COG there. It's a good tournament, beautiful weather, PGA National, a great course. Did you have a good time? I saw you there with your whole family. How was that?
Oh, it was great. It was great seeing you and some of the ESPN West Palm team. And, yeah, lovely. I mean, what a great day. It was kind of packed in terms of the leaderboard. Weren't sure where it was going to end up. And then Highsmith has this incredible, like unbelievable, the best back nine in the history of the tournament to pull it out. That's why it's fun. That's why it's really fun. We were watching him for a while, so it was pretty cool.
So did you stay in one spot, or did you follow a twosome throughout the course? How'd you play it?
Neither. Like bounced around a little bit. Followed. We're there following some of the leaders, and then we're in a spot, and then we saw this Highsmith start to catch fire. So checked him out for a little bit. So kind of bounced around and checked out some of the different areas. Just a great opportunity to watch some live golf right in our backyard.
Well, Steve, we're talking about tortured fan bases here, Mike and I. And I think I'm at the point where the Dallas Maverick fan, based on how the last 2 months, month and a half, has transpired for them, I'm ready to graduate them into a tortured fan base, to considering what they had to now what they have lost and what they will not have for the foreseeable future. Now that Kyrie Irving's down for the foreseeable future for the rest of the year with the torn ACL, Anthony Davis, I would say likely going to be shut down with an injury for the rest of the year himself. Now all of a sudden the team that was in the NBA Finals is a lottery team. I think I'm ready to graduate that fan base based on how it happened, what happened, how public it was, into a tortured fan base. What do you think?
Yeah, I think I'm with you. I think it's pretty close to, you go from the finals and you just have the gut punch of losing Luka. And then on top of that, Davis getting hurt, and now Kyrie. I mean, it's more just what a turn. It sort of depends on how you define torture. Does torture mean like the teams that stink, that never win, that have never even gotten to the finals, teams like the Clippers types of fan base? Or is it those teams that you had the rug pulled out from you, and I mean, you're just in awe, like your mouth drop, like what the heck happened? So I think that's the only thing you got to decide. Is torture more of a cumulative torture, or is it we were right there and now we are completely done for?
Steve, they got a tank at this point, right?
Yeah, and they've been great at tanking. They tanked a couple of years ago and it got them to the finals the next year. So, of course, yeah, at this point, do you see
it's
Anthony
a little different.
Davis
They had Luka there, but they don't have Luka there anymore. They don't have Luka there anymore.
Yeah,
right?
no. I mean, you have to maximize everything you can get. At this point, I don't see any reason. I mean, I don't want to say like any reason for them to try to compete, but it's where you quote unquote go young. Get some experience. On these guys. But yeah, that is quite a turn of events, guys. You're right.
They're hoping Cooper Flagg. I mean, if they do go the tanking route, Cooper Flagg is the prized player out of this draft. Now, if they go out and get Cooper Flagg, if they get the number one pick at Cooper Flagg, Steve, does the momentum, is that where you put your foot in the sand if you're a Mavericks fan?
You are, but you're still going to rebuild. I mean, look how many years it takes. Look at the Pistons. It's taken like 4 years. Look at the Cavs. What they've been through to get back. So yeah, you get excited about Flagg. I don't think that means there's any shot of them making the playoffs in the next couple of years. So it still is very much. Whoa, and you still lost. It's more the emotional swing of we were right there, and now are we really starting this all over? And what did we get for it? Like, how are we bettered, by it? That's the thing. If you're a Mavs fan, that you guys that you have to think about. And hearing you guys. When you think about other teams, they're like a Mavs fan's probably also a Cowboys fan. That's the opposite. That's the cumulative. They haven't been close They haven't been close since the early 90s. So they're the opposite. They haven't been close. Forget about what the media says or the odds. They have not been close. And for them, it's every year.
Yeah, Steve, you brought up something interesting. You alluded to it earlier, and you hit on it again with the Cowboys there. We were talking about criteria of tortured fan bases, and I think it could be split into three. And the first criteria is, I guess, what you alluded to there with the Cowboys is you're good consistently, but you can never get it done in a big spot. That is a criteria of a fan that the Buffalo Bills fall under that umbrella as well. Number two is you're the type of tortured fan of a team that never gets anything done. This could be, the Charlotte Hornets of the world who just never get anything done, nothing of substance. The Jacksonville Jaguars, the whole thing. So that's the second criteria. And I think the third criteria, which is where the Mav fan falls for me, is you had a chance to get it done, but you squandered it via mismanagement. I guess the mismanagement is the key vocab word there. Those, I think, are the three. But I was curious on your perspective on this. So you view fan bases in a criteria-based system like that. So you see the teams that don't get it done, but they're always there. You view that as a troubled, tortured fan base.
Yeah, I do, but I actually think the more tortured fan base are the teams who never have hope, who almost never have a shot, who know going into the year, whether it's the financial disparity in baseball, and I know there's some exceptions. The Rays, the Royals have broken through a couple times, but in general, you kind of know where that's going to go. And when football teams lose, like you kind of had that feeling, or who has nothing, going into the season, and the cumulative effect. I'll give you one. The Wizards. I was just talking to somebody about that today. The Wizards. Imagine being a Washington Wizards fan. That is a more tortured fan base than being a Mavs fan, because at least, yes, you had the rug pulled out from you, but you were in the finals last year, and you got to ride that. How about a Wizards fan? They don't even sniff the playoffs. Look, they've been rebuilding for 40 years. They haven't seen the finals since the 70s. And that, to me, is a more tortured fan base.
You're not an Alex Sarr guy? You're not a Jordan Poole, Chris Middleton, Steve?
Yeah,
I know.
By the time those guys get anywhere, they'll be gone. It's been time and time again.
I'm with you, and that's when I think of a tortured franchise. Those are the teams that I directly go to. And then it seems like, Steve, whenever those teams get good, something happens. Something happens where they don't win. The Bills of the world, the Cleveland of the world. I can't feel bad for a Cowboy fan. I was screaming at Colin last segment saying how the Cowboy. Steve, I will never feel bad for a Cowboy fan.
Mike brings up the wins.
I will never feel bad for
30 years ago. So you're talking about the age range of 45 and up that have actually appreciated that.
I will never feel bad for a Cowboy fan. I will never feel bad for a Green Bay Packer fan. Do I realize that in recency they have not had success in the playoffs? Absolutely. But these are teams consistently winning 12, 10 games. And I get it, man. That might be the worst place to be, right? When you're winning 10, 12 games and not winning the playoffs, you're not getting a high draft spot. You're kind of stuck in mediocrity. But I guarantee you, the teams that you mentioned, like the Wizards and company, they would kill to win 10 or 12 games a year. That's where I come at when it's with the Cowboys, the Green Bay Packers. There's some of these teams that can't get the job done in the playoffs as of late.
I'm with you. It sounds like you guys, not surprising, have opposite feelings on this. That is it about the we never have a chance versus the we were right there at the mountaintop and now we're back down to the bottom.
I agree. I don't disagree with him on that front.
Or Colin's third criteria.
I disagree with the point that all of a sudden the Bills can win 13 games a year and be in it every single year, but all of a sudden they get a pass because they didn't win in the 90s and the Cowboys did. And the Cowboys can't get a pass because they've done exactly the same, fundamentally the same thing as the Bills for a longer period of time, but the Cowboys don't get felt bad for because it's the Cowboys. It's really about your hatred for the Cowboys and less about actually what the team is doing on the field. That's just my opinion. Would you agree with that, Mike?
Yeah, and it's the definition of torture.
I guess it's more jealousy. I mean, being
it's
a
America's
successful
team, it's 425 every week. They're always on Thanksgiving. I understand that.
And 5
the Cowboy
Super Bowls.
fan wants to win a game,
and
just like
Super
everybody
Bowls.
else. Just like everybody else. Now, fundamentally,
and the Bills,
I don't even feel bad for the Bill fan. I don't, because I would trade. I think for a team, for a fan base where I would say 70 to 75% of the NFL would trade where they are for that type of success. Today, I can't feel bad for that fan base. I can't.
And I'd want to. How long has Allen been there? It's been
2018
since Josh Allen's been there, and the first 2 years were a little rough with Allen. So I think it's been like 4 years.
Made the postseason.
Really? Like 4 or 5 years.
Made the postseason.
It's been like 4 or 5 years with the Bills, and they were awful before that.
5, 6 years, and you have the MVP of the NFL who's not going anywhere. That's why I don't feel bad. That's why I can't feel bad. But you feel bad for one, but don't feel bad for the other because you don't like the team. It's not because of the fundamental, the criteria that we listed. It's about the fact that
the way that the fan acts.
You brought the 5 titles, the 2 with Staubach, and then the 3 with Aikman, where the 45-year-old can appreciate and nobody else can, because they haven't even gotten to the NFC title game since that administration.
And consistently good teams with Tony Romo, Dak Prescott, Drew Bledsoe.
So how can you say it then? And how can you not say it about the Bills when they're going to be doing the exact same thing for the next 15 years? How can you say that is hypocritical?
It's been 4 or 5 years for the Bills. Let's let this thing play out.
Well, they got the MVP of the league. They got him on a 5-year contract. What am I going to assume?
My argument is that the Cowboys consistently win 12, 10 games every single year. I will never feel bad for a fan base that does that. For the last 20 years, they won 10 games more often than not.
You're playing both sides here. Steve, can you mediate a little bit?
Well, I think you're right. There's something here where, like, you got to decide, Mike, is it about, like, you have this envy on these teams that used to win? Where's that? I didn't hear that in the criteria. It's either you're tortured forever or you got close. This
he wants to be playing on 425. He wants to play on Thanksgiving.
To answer your question, Steve, I would love to win 10 games every year. We couldn't win a Super Bowl my entire lifetime.
And that fundamentally is the reason why I don't feel bad for Bills fans. But I have a problem with you feeling all of of a sudden you're weeping at the grave for the Bill fan, and you say the Cowboy fan
and the way
they're too good. They're not counting enough of their blessings.
And the way the Cowboy fan acts, and the pomp
and
the pompous Green Bay Packer fans in the middle of nowhere in Wisconsin. Yeah,
Packers.
Steve. I guess it's jealousy. It's envy.
Packers. There's more of an argument.
Steve. There you go. There you guys go. It's jealousy and envy. I'll never consider that lot a tortured fan base. When you consistently win as much as they do, no, thank you. No, thank you.
Yeah, but
and the way they act, the high and mightiness, they tell those people to go to hell. Yeah, I'll never feel bad for them.
Mike, you're talking about people's grandparents. Like the Cowboys, if you were 15 when the Cowboys were good, what does that put you now?
45.
Jeez. Right? So everybody before them doesn't know them as good. They know that their grandparents said they were good, just like your grandparents said Otto Graham was good. You're in the same boat.
Mike?
You're the same.
We're not the same.
10 years young.
I am not the same as a Cowboy
Browns
fan.
Won those titles. What about those years, huh? What about the Jim Brown championship years? I can't feel bad for a Browns fan.
No.
They got all the championships.
No. You're not allowed to do this because everything post. Everything before this.
Fundamentally, the idea is wrong if you're going to set your own criteria.
I'm not setting my own criteria.
Then you can't feel bad for the Dolphin fan. Who you said you felt bad for earlier.
Before the Super Bowl, no one counts anything before the Super Bowl era. Do I think it's right?
Nobody.
No.
Who's nobody?
Do I think it's right? No.
You're talking about if you don't feel it's right. That's exactly what you're saying. That's what you feel. You're saying you don't think it's right, but you're the one who thinks like that. Oh, such a hypocrite. Unbelievable.
No, my entire life, everyone has told me the championships for the Browns don't mean anything.
What about you? I don't care what everybody else thinks. I care about what you think.
I've been screaming the kingdom come for
you haven't. You're the one who
30 years I've been saying.
Am I hearing the same thing here?
Yeah.
Mike just set his criteria at post-Super Bowl and then alluded to the fact that because everybody else says that nobody cares about anything pre-Super Bowl, that the reason – but Mike disagrees with that. How does that make any sense? That is hypocritical in its front. It was 20 seconds apart you said both things. I don't understand. There's a complete hole in that argument.
No, there's not. There's not a hole in the argument. You're reaching.
Steve?
You're reaching. I'm saying that
Am I crazy? Did I hear this right? Hold on, Steve.
I need to
chime in here. Did I hear this right?
I'm kind of with Colin here. My ribs. You're trying to play both sides of this whole thing. And
I'm not playing both sides.
Your argument has to do with who you don't like. Your argument has to do with
That is it.
Steve,
Which
fan
hit it right in the
bases
head.
you think are cocky. right? Which fan base? Like, you don't think the Bills fan base is cocky, so you don't feel bad for the Bills.
Steve, you're right on. You're right on.
If I told an average NFL fan that the Browns have won 5 championships, they'd tell me I'm a liar. So let's get that straight. The before the Super Bowl era does not mean anything to anybody anymore. For me to sit here,
you're so hyper generalizing it because you're talking about the who cares. The who cares. You're just saying, nobody cares. That's what do you think? What do you think? How do you view it? And all of a sudden, because you just set the criteria, it has to be post Super Bowl, and then I ask you why, and it says, it's because everybody else thinks that way.
Yeah,
and then
no one talks about.
And then you say you disagree with it. And then you say, I wish people did. Well, you're right here. You have the mic in your hand. You can. I am. You can see that.
Outside of the Packer championship that happened before the first Super Bowl, no one talks about the championships of years past. So I'll end it at that. I'll never. You guys, listen. You can sit
Mike
here.
Looks like a hypocrite here.
You can sit here and tell me a hypocrite. Tell me how much of an idiot I am. I'll never feel bad for a loser Cowboy fan, and I'll never feel bad for a pompous Packer fan. That's just the way it is, guys.
Steve?
Okay. That's fine. Then your criteria has to do with who you have it. You ultimately have a disclaimer in your criteria.
And Steve, here's the thing too. We got to hear how great the team is from that fan base all the time too. Okay, we got to hear how great they are and how they did. No, dude, no, I'll never feel bad for those people.
The criteria was good team that can't get it done in the postseason. If you're going to literally define it as that, Cowboys fall under it. Steve, we appreciate the time as always. Looking forward to talking again next week. Tell us about Duffy's really quick before you go.
Duffy's Sports Grill once again voted the best sports grill in 2024 with their award-winning burgers and wings. Weekday lunch specials, the Duffy's Double Play, just $7.99. That's lunch. Yeah, inexpensive it is for lunch now. You ever go out and just try to buy lunch? Lunch has gotten pricey. Not a Duffy's, $7.99 for the famous 2-for-1 drinks every day. Of course, sign up free to get your Duffy's MVP card. Start earning rewards today. Your favorite game or sporting event is always on with 80 TVs in each location. You will never miss a minute of the game. Visit Duffy'sMVP.com to learn more.
Tortured fan base or, a fan base in heaven, you could always go over to Duffy's Sports Grill to watch a game. Steve, appreciate it as always. Looking forward to speaking again next week.
Thanks, Steve.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Steve Politzino, the Good Karma Brands president, the Palm Beach Sports Commission Hall of Famer, joining us then, presented by Duffy's Sports Grill. It's Russo and Rizzo. We'll do a little 5 and 5 Luke Christian Cat into the conversation a little bit next. It's Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 106.3.
Anajar and Levine.
Call 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-3733.
ESPN 106.3.
WUUB Jupiter, a Good Karma Brands radio station.
Something amazing is happening. Despite a citywide blackout, this company is still up and running. That's because CDW deployed and managed a cost-effective Eaton Triplite Series Smart Pro UPS to safeguard equipment easily and reliably. Keep the power on and protect your IT equipment from electrical challenges. Triplite by Eaton and CDW. Make amazing happen. Find out more at cdw.com/triplite.
Robinhood Gold members can now enjoy the VIP treatment, receiving a 3% IRA match on annual retirement contributions. With Robinhood Gold, the perks of the high net worth are now available for any net worth. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. To receive a 3% boost on annual IRA contributions, sign up at Robinhood.com/gold. Investing involves risk. 3% match requires Robinhood Gold at $5 a month for 1 year from first match. Must keep funds in IRA for 5 years. Go to Robinhood.com/boost. Robinhood Financial LLC member SIPC. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold LLC.
ESPN 106.3 is your home for live sports presented by Hard Rock Bet. Home of the Miami Heat, now the new home of Inter Miami. Catch all the games and the biggest matchups throughout the week right here on ESPN 106.3. Hard Rock Bet, it's Florida's official sports book. Try Hard Rock Bet now and receive up to $100 back in bonus bets if your first bet does not win. Hard Rock Bet, roll with us. It's offered by the Seminole Tribe of Florida. Must be 21 plus and physically present in Florida the wager. Terms and conditions apply. Concerned about gambling, call 1-888-ADMIT-IT.
Banyan Printing. For 47 years, the trusted partner for all your printing, mailing, and signage needs. And 2025 just brought something big to Banyan. Introducing Banyan's new press. Bigger, faster, and more competitively priced than anything you'll find anywhere in the Palm Beaches. Think variable data postcards, bulk mailings, and high-quality print on stocks up to a 24-point board. Banyan Printing. Visit banyanonline.com and discover how your business's printing materials can get bigger and better.
Is your credit on life support? Greenway Kia of West Palm Beach will be hosting a credit clinic at the dealership today and tomorrow. Local bank representatives will be on site to grant special approval to consumers who meet certain minimum criteria. If you have a job bringing home $350 weekly, the credit clinic at Greenway Kia of West Palm Beach wants to approve you so you can drive home your new Kia today. Greenway Kia of West Palm Beach will be hosting a credit clinic at the dealership today and tomorrow. Hello, is this thing on? I repeat, Greenway Kia of West Palm Beach will be hosting a credit clinic at the dealership today and tomorrow. If you have a job bringing home $350 weekly, the credit clinic wants to approve you for a new Kia today. So what are you waiting for? Don't miss the credit clinic today and tomorrow at Greenway Kia of West Palm Beach. Call 800-NEW-KIAs or go online at greenwaykiawestpalmbeach.com.
We want to see ya in a Greenway Kia.
Credit affects down payment and approval term.
Get ready to elevate your driving experience with the all-new 2025 Range Rover Velar P250 Dynamic SE, a stunning blend of luxury, performance, and technology that will make every drive unforgettable. Right now, you can lease the new Velar for just $759 per month for 36 months. Yes, only $759 a month for a luxury SUV that sets new standards on the road. Visit Land Rover Palm Beach today and take advantage of this incredible offer. Terms and conditions apply. See dealer for details.
While it's not always possible to see contaminated water coming out of the faucet, the taste is difficult to ignore. And what about plastics and pharmaceuticals now in the water? The team at Culligan is here to help. Culligan offers water testing and reverse osmosis systems designed to filter out those contaminants right at the source. Culligan has been helping the local community with water issues since 1936. Schedule your appointment today at Culligan.com.
Hey, Culligan man!
Improve your golf game fast at the all-new Kaiser University Golf Coaching Center. The Kaiser University Golf Coaching Center has the facilities, tools, and coaching you need. Enjoy the best facilities in the area with an expansive chipping and putting area, practice bunkers, a huge putting green, plus a 2,000 square foot indoor training area with 3 hitting bays, cutting-edge analysis technology, and more. The Kaiser University Golf Coaching Center in the heart of Palm Beach County off I-95 and the Turnpike. Find out more at kaisergolfcenter.com.
What's the meaning of life? It's Bill Belichick's hoodie. No, seriously. There's something about that just screams, I've won 6 Super Bowls, and I've got the answers to all of your problems. I mean, can we get a little guidance here? Bill, please? I'll wear the hoodie. I'll mumble into a microphone. Just tell me your secrets.
Calling all sports fans, grab your MVP card and head to Duffy's where you can catch all of the action. Not an MVP? Sign up for free and start earning rewards today. Duffy's is voted the best sports grill year after year with their award-winning burgers and wings. Don't forget about Duffy's famous 2-for-1 drinks all day, every day. And with over 80 TVs in every location, you'll never miss a minute of the game. Visit Duffy'sMVP.com to learn more. Duffy's, our game is always on.
The Club at Lost Lake, a championship Fazio design golf course in Hope Sound. Golf and social memberships are now available with no waiting list and immediate access. The course and club will see over $10 million in capital improvements and is one of the best private club values in the area. Experience the beauty and challenge of this renowned course for yourself. Enjoy year-round access to exclusive amenities and events. Visit clublostlake.com to schedule a visit today. Don't miss out on this incredible course. And please, putt responsibly.
Let's get back to the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. This is Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 106.3.
If you've been in a car accident, truck accident, suffered a slip and fall, my friends Mark Anajar and Glenn Levine over at Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys, they're here to fight for you. I know with Anajar and Levine, they got my back no matter what. They don't charge you unless you win. They work tirelessly to get you the maximum compensation that you deserve. Listen, don't settle for just any attorney. Demand Anajar and Levine today because that's the Anajar and Levine difference. All it takes, one phone call to take back control of your life today. Don't wait. Call for that free consultation. That's 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-3733. Take back control now with Anajar and Levine. Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 106.3 live from the SoFi Center in Palm Beach Gardens, Florida. The last regular season action of the TGL teeing off tonight, 7 p.m. between Tiger, the Atlanta Dream. So it should be an interesting one.
Atlanta
there.
Drive, not the Atlanta Dream. What the hell? Where'd you get that from?
Did I say Atlanta Dream?
Yeah.
Maybe I was thinking about a WNBA. There's a WNBA team with the Dream. And whatever. Now it's Christian Cat, of course. Thanks for jumping in. We haven't heard from you this hour. How you doing, by the way?
Doing spectacularly. Fantastic. Can't express my pleasure
you were
on
at
that
the TGL
program.
last night, and you were there for both matches? Where there was a doubleheader. Were you there for both?
Yeah, I caught the second half of the first match of the day. Saw that after we signed off with Theoretically Speaking, then watched in its entirety the second match of the day between Boston and New York.
Good crowd?
A great crowd. Man, it was awesome. We almost had a hole-in-one on a hammer-thrown hole from Keegan Bradley, which would have been absolutely insane. Jeter was there. Big Papi was there. It was a who's who.
Jeter was there. Interesting. I heard Bon Jovi is going to be in the building tonight, so there's a who's who for tonight's TGL.
Christian, did Jeter have a beard?
He was a little stubble.
I'm actually interested in that.
He probably could have made it on pinstripes with his current facial hair. He was good.
Got it.
What are you trying to say, Mike?
I'm interested if he embraced the beard, because I feel like Jeter. Did he like? Now, Ken, I'm asking you,
Jeter was an
Yankee
embodiment
fan.
of that.
Yeah,
Jeter,
he liked
it.
He liked it, so I'm a little surprised that he wasn't clean shaven.
Yeah, he did like the facial hair rule that the Yankees did have during his tenure. So
so
he's
also
probably
when they were winning
okay.
titles.
That's true. Things evolve, people evolve, and you get more leeway.
Titles.
Totally. Yeah. And Big Papi looked a little thinner. He looked like he lost some lbs. He lost some pounds.
He's got those
right? Christian,
Dominican
am I right on that?
jeans. Yes, very tight pants. Like the dude looked insane.
Thought he looked
analyzing his pants from afar, Christian.
Yeah, he's talking crap on my captain, so I had to give him some backup. What can I say?
All right, that's Christian Cat, Colin Russo, Mike Rizzo with you on ESPN 106.3. You can catch us live streaming as well at ESPN West Palm on Facebook, Twitter/X, and YouTube as well. Let's get into a little 5 at 5. Have some fun.
Number 1.
The Eagles are rewarding their star running back, Saquon Barkley. Yeah, for a historic season last year, he is now getting a 2-year, $41.2 million contract extension, making him the highest-paid running back in NFL history. Outside of Saquon, who's a running back in the NFL worth a big contract like the one he just signed today?
I would say, barring health, but based on how good he is, Jahmyr Gibbs is one that actually is warranted of that lucrative rookie contract extension. Derrick Henry's a little older,
right?
So he's going to be on a year-in, year-out basis. I think he's closer to retirement than he is his prime. But, I mean, what are you going to do with the Eagles? They let go 2 defensive players in Darius Slay and Bradbury, and they freed up some cap space, and they gave the MVP of that team throughout the season a much-needed or much-deserved contract extension to keep him happy. Good for them. That's operating in good faith, in my opinion.
And, Christian, the big reason I put this as our question is because I don't think any of us said heading into the year that Saquon Barkley was the best running back in the NFL.
It's a year-in, year-out basis. We said the same thing last year about McCaffrey.
But what a nice season by Barkley, and it netted Philadelphia with a championship. So I think this is well-deserved. I agree with Colin with the names he said with Gibbs and company, but I still think Christian McCaffrey is a real fine player. I think in a couple of years, once he's off of that contract-friendly thing, I think Chase Brown might turn into a really good running back as well. Maybe not on the level of Saquon Barkley, but I think Chase Brown is going to be a really good running back in the NFL with what I saw last year. So I think there are a couple guys, like Nick Chubb's fallen out of that because of injury. For years, Nick Chubb was under that conversation as well.
He's had injury
big time. Fitzpatrick, it was an atrocious tackle, but regardless, I'm happy to see a running back get paid, and for a long time, Barkley was looking to get paid, and they kept franchise tagging him and whatnot, signing him to 1-year deals in New York. Good for Saquon.
The bottom line is, if it's a complimentary position like the running back position, which it is, if it's complimentary, as long as you have the team around him that's best most equipped to utilize his skill set and to make a good team great, not a bad team good, it's worth every dime. That's the Josh Jacobs, Saquon Barkley, McCaffrey in a lot of senses of the world. That's why those guys are worth it. Number 2.
Number 2.
Devontae Adams has officially been cut by the Jets. He was due to count $38.3 million on the salary cap, a 2025 league high for wide receivers. What is next for the former Packer and now former Jet.
Well, I mean, I'm starting to think at a certain point, Davante Adams is going to stop getting what he wants every time he turns because he's saying, I don't want to be here, I don't want to be there, get me out of there. Trade me to the Jets, they did that. Get me back with Derek Carr, they did that. So this has been somebody whose needs have been met pretty much his whole career. And whether he wants to play with Rodgers again or not remains to be seen. But that's a coveted receiver. Am I that high on him as I was maybe 8 months ago, 10 months ago, maybe even a year ago? No. But in terms of somebody who is a win-now, close to win-now team that needs a complementary piece like that is going to make a good team better, I think Davante Adams has got to be near the top of the list.
I don't know if he's top tier anymore. Like, I have such a bad taste in my mouth from Davante Adams from his time with the Raiders and his time with the Jets.
Destination now as well.
I get that, but it's similar to the Odell Beckham Jr. towards the back end of his relevancy, I guess. When Odell left Cleveland and went to the Rams, I'm like, all right, is he going to be able to do something?
He had a lot of injuries.
He did, but he won his Super Bowl and he played well in the game. Fine. After that, Colin, I don't know. He didn't play well, and he kind of
tear his ACL in that game. Isn't that what happened?
He caught a touchdown and then he got hurt.
And he tore his ACL.
And then he was never the same.
That's an injury thing.
I just don't know if Davante Adams is top tier anymore. Like, I think I could name 5 wide receivers that I would rather have than Davante Adams
available?
at this point. Not available,
well,
but
that's the idea.
in the NFL. And you brought up the point where he's kind of dictated everything in his career. Do you really want to bring a guy like that into the building? So I'm kind of over Davante Adams, I guess.
The Chargers make him a call. Give him a call.
No, that's not Jim Harbaugh's style. I think he's completely fine with Ladd McConkey and company.
You think the Commanders would have been suited getting Davante Adams instead of the Deebo Samuels of the world? They waited another 3 days.
Yeah. It's funny how the league works, right? That's a good question. Deebo, I think there's more of an injury history there with Deebo, so I would probably say maybe they would have wanted to have Davante Adams more.
But he has the opportunity to go to a lot of different contenders if he wants to.
He could definitely go to a playoff team, and now I think he thought he was going to go to a playoff team with the New York Jets this year, and it simply didn't pan out.
Maybe he follows Rodgers. Maybe hell, go to the Bengals.
Yeah. Don't you think it's
sign for $15 million a year?
It's a big year for him this year. You'd agree with that, right?
I mean,
for relevancy still.
He was great 2 years ago with the Raiders when Carr force-fed him the ball the entire game. But you're right. Yeah, he's been dealing with a couple nagging injuries. He's a little older. He doesn't have the step as fast. He used to be the best route runner in the league. He's probably not anymore.
I mean, when he was with Rodgers in Green Bay, I don't even think it was a question.
He was great with Carr, too.
He was. But I think in Green Bay, he was the best. He had the title of best receiver in the league. I just think a lot has happened since then. I think it's a big year for him coming up this year.
But the thing about it is, too, is like every wide receiver is a diva. Every single one.
Agreed.
So in terms of them available, you're talking about the Cooper Kupps of the world, the Davante Adams. You can get Davante Adams probably next to, I mean, whether he wants a big contract or not, maybe $10 million, whatever it may be. Or you can get Kupp for cheaper based on like a third or fourth round pick.
And Kupp, I don't necessarily think Kupp's a diva, right? No. Kupp's a team guy.
I'm talking about available receivers.
Okay.
Number 3.
Number 3.
Sam Darnold, Vikings quarterback, did not get the franchise tag before the 4 o'clock deadline by Minnesota. The Vikings are still interested in working to re-sign Darnold, but it is likely to be without any tag, sources told Adam Schefter. Will Darnold be a Viking next year?
Well, it's an interesting report that it was followed up after it was realized that he was not going to get the tag. They're still working towards getting him back on that team. So I guess that makes what the Vikings are trying to do abundantly clear. I think Darnold's just playing it safe.
Yeah.
He's going to feel out his market. He's going to let the league year turn over in March 13th, whatever it is. And he's going to see what type of offers come in, where it would be. And I think from there he will make a decision. But based on that report, that gives me, if I'm a Viking fan who loves Sam Darnold and wants him back, that report gives me more confidence than what Schefter and Rappaport said about them working towards a longer-term contract, because it's not the franchise tag, which is operating in bad faith from the team's perspective, in my opinion. It's operating in bad faith. That's exactly what the Bengals did with T. Higgins. I don't think the relationship with them and T. Higgins is any better at this point. So Sam Darnold actually getting worked towards a longer-term contract, whether it's 2-3 years, whatever it may be, I think that's actually operating in good faith on both sides. I think it's a testament to how much better the relationship is than people want to realize.
Totally agree, and I think we're on the same wavelength that he needs probably a 2-3 year deal from Minnesota. I know that the only person I think that wouldn't be happy would probably be angry fans who are upset of how he played in the Ram game. But I think there are more fans that understand this guy won 14 games with this last year and played really well and was an MVP candidate. So I think angry fans are upset that don't want him back. And J.J. McCarthy. I mean, let's call it for what it is. If you're J.J. McCarthy, you're hoping to start next year. You're hoping to take the reins of the franchise. You're already frustrated with yourself that you got injured in preseason. But with how the current NFL is and how many times we see guys sit behind and sit behind a quarterback and have it work, let McCarthy learn, let him be on the sideline, let him hold the clipboard this year. I understand. I think that's a big thing, being around the team even when you're injured and stuff, but he'll be able to be the true backup this year and really start to learn from a veteran like Sam. I think it's best case scenario. I think the two people that are upset are Sam Darnold and the angry Viking fan. But no deal has been worked out yet. I'm completely speculating that a long-term deal is going to be worked out.
And whether that would work, you'd got to think that the Vikings would front-load that contract quite a bit, make sure a lot of the guaranteed money gets out of the way early in the first 1 or 2 years, and then it gives them flexibility to make a decision if and when J.J. McCarthy is ready, willing to take the spot, healthy. Because I agree. I don't think it would invoke a ton of confidence in the team if you're going to go with a J.J. McCarthy next year who hasn't played any meaningful snaps, is still young, inexperienced. You're kind of waiting for that to fail in a way.
Yeah, and
so
not everyone could
gives them a little bit of flexibility.
Not everyone could be Jaden Daniels. Not everyone could be a Joe Burrow, come into the league, a Josh Allen or whatever, even though Allen kind of struggled his first year. Regardless, not everyone is like that.
Somebody from that class has to stink. Somebody. And it hasn't been anybody yet. Williams is pretty solid. Daniels is good. Nix is good. May is good. A lot of these guys are good. Penix showed flashes. Somebody's got to stink. Maybe it's J.J. McCarthy.
It's not going to be 5 for 5? I think 4. It's 5 for 5.
It's going to be 6 for 6.
There you go. Number 4.
Number 4.
The ACC, Florida State, and Clemson have stopped their litigious battle Tuesday after agreeing on a settlement that changes the league's revenue distribution model and significantly reduces exit penalties for teams and schools that want to leave the conference before 2036. AKA, Florida State and Clemson will get a whole lot more money from their conference because they bring a whole lot more money to the ACC. Could you see Clemson or Florida State leaving the ACC in the near future?
Unfortunately, I can. I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon, but I think it just takes off a little. They had power in that litigation, in that back and forth, in the legal battle, and so between now and 2036, do I think they're going to leave next year? Absolutely not, because there's still money at play. There's still a contract to be had, but I guess it gives them a little bit more freedom later on. I don't know the X's and O's, but it gives them a little bit more freedom down the line to shift if they wanted to. But if I'm a Florida State fan and I'm thinking, oh, we need to go to a better conference, I would think twice. I mean, if you're looking to get back to the promised land, I'm not sure if the fastest route is to jump into the SEC.
And that's what the point I was going to make was these teams got to get back to relevancy again. And Colin, I know
not fair to say about Clemson, but I understand. It's not fair. It's plain and simple. They just won the ACC championship. They were in the game.
I think they need to get back more to relevancy until they can dictate that they want to go to an SEC or wherever the hell it may be. CCAT, as a Big Ten guy, I don't want to see the ACC die, believe it or not. And you're a Big Ten guy as well. I'm interested to get your opinion on this.
Yeah, I'm kind of power to those that have power, and I want to have 2 mega conferences. I want to have the Big Ten, and I want the SEC.
And all my friends want that as well.
That's about football too. That's not considering other sports and basketball.
Yep, totally. It's a really good point. And I don't know. I was kind of sad to see the Pac-12 die until I found out Oregon was coming to the Big Ten, Christian. But things change. I understand that. But I think there's something to be said about Clemson and the powerhouse that they were with Sweeney. I think if Dabo just starts to sprinkle a little bit in the transfer portal and start to kind of, figure things out in 2025, they'll be just fine.
I'm 26 years old. I'm sick and tired of having to wait to see exciting non-conference matchups week in and week out with these Big Ten schools. Yeah. I want as much as possible. I want to see schools that I'm not used to seeing play each other. And by combining these conferences, by getting the West Coast playing the Big Ten, I get more of that guaranteed in the conference schedule. Sign me up for that. I'm tired of the tradition. I don't care anymore.
But there's definitely a wall somewhere. Is there not a wall for you?
Like where we've gone too far?
Yes. Is there not a point of that?
No, tradition's out the door in college football. So we got to lean the other direction and commit to it.
I would love to relegate teams, have the top 25 relevant team. Christian, that's probably taking it too far.
That's not gonna. You bring it back to soccer in the Champions League. It's not going to be like that because TV contracts does not make that work. Because you have to join a conference and then sign a contract with that conference in order to get money per year from the television network.
Be great though, man, to separate it by 1 and 2. Whoever wins 2 gets that. Oh God, it'd be glorious.
We don't
Colin.
get that instant classic between Ohio State and Oregon if not for conference realignment.
I'm not saying that's a bad thing, and I'm not saying it's a bad thing that Texas joined the SEC. But I think there's a point where
it killed the Big 12. Sorry, it killed the Big 12.
Yeah, like, what are you going to say to the other teams who get left out of this? I mean, the Washington States. There's not a big fan base of the Washington State that we are relevant to. We don't necessarily see the outcry. Yeah. But all of a sudden, when you get the Dukes, the UNCs, these big-time programs of the world that are going to get screwed by this, then all of a sudden you're going to hear this outcry. You're going to hear how upset teams get a whole lot more than comparatively to the Washington States of the world or the odd man out.
I just don't understand how conferences like the Big 12 and I don't know how they survive. Like if the ACC is, I don't want to say they're barely scraping by. They have a contract till 2036, Colin. But if the ACC is like the little brother now to the SEC and the Big 10, how the hell is a conference like the Big 12 going to survive who doesn't even have a team like Clemson? The Big 12 is searching for their next big juggernaut in their football. And everything's about football. I know I'm talking about football. Everything's about football. Let's be completely honest. But the Big 12 doesn't have a big name right now.
Year by year. Teams change by year. There's some teams that were good. There's some teams that are not.
And that's why I had a problem with Texas and Oklahoma leaving. Texas might have stunk at the time when they were in the Big 12, but that's a brand. Like, you knew that program was going to get back to relevancy. It killed the conference. So
I don't think it killed the conference because they still had they still had teams that were good. They didn't have the best teams in the country.
Well, what we're going to have to get used to is seeing blemishes in records of teams that are really good. Because you have these consolidation of power, you're going to see really good teams play really good teams. And just because someone has to lose that game, there's going to be a fantastic Alabama team that's going to have 4 losses. The same's going to be said about Texas. That's just going to happen, and we'll have to get more comfortable with that as the years go on.
And then Christian, on the flip side, you're going to have to get more comfortable with teams that dominate in the schedule that they have, and then they have to get in. Yep. That's exactly the argument you just brought up is exactly what happened with SMU and Alabama this past year. And it's just going to be to a wider scale.
Christian, to your point, you could get to a point where you lose 4 games and then you're in the playoff and you go on a run and you're able to make magic in a bottle. I know the Buckeyes had 2.
But they might not get in. That's the thing. With 4 losses.
But if they keep consolidating to what Christian wanted, I'm basing off of what Christian said with the 2 mega conferences, there are going to be teams with a lot more losses.
I think you guys are jumping the gun here. We talked about 2 teams that litigated the exit fee to a little bit, not even to totality, to a little bit from now to 2036. 2 teams, 2 programs today. That doesn't mean that the ACC is getting abolished, that the Big 12 is getting abolished. It doesn't mean that, I don't think.
I think we're, Christian, to your point, I think that's the track we're on.
Yeah, if SMU didn't make the playoff this year, I think they'd be gone. I think that was something that kept those schools in their conferences right now. Because if SMU,
I can't say
if SMU's not put in the playoff, it's kind of a raw deal.
And they got obliterated by your Nittany Lions as well. So, that's why I say the conference needs to get back to relevancy. If you get a juggernaut and you start winning some stuff, then you get the clout back to the conference. Like the comments that the Big 12, that the ACC, commissioner said is like, this is the best conference in the world. How the hell can you even say that? Like, I understand you got to say it, but how could you say that with a straight face? Your football is a nightmare.
Florida State was a Jordan Travis injury away from being in the playoff 2 years ago, the 14 playoff 2 years ago. So they're kind of relevant.
Yeah,
they're
that's
not
why
a powerhouse.
I don't think that's totally fair. And the Big 12 teams have made it, and the Pac-12 teams have made it in the past. So it's not like it. Yeah, there's better SEC teams consistently, and there's probably in the recent memory better Big 10 teams in recent memory. But it's not just one is playing at such a different level than the other. Because that's what they said about the SEC and the Big 10 and how the SEC fare in non-games, non-college football playoff, and even the college football playoff games. How'd they fare then? So it's not even that. I think these conferences are a little closer than people are giving them credit for.
The thing that hurt the ACC was having Clemson completely get boat raced by Georgia early on in the season last year. Florida State being bad this year. Miami, the team I think they wanted to hitch their wagon to, losing 2 bad games at the end of the year to crap teams.
That would make sense if Clemson didn't win the game. But Clemson won the game, got the automatic bid. So it doesn't really matter what happened against Georgia because they got into the game. And Miami didn't play those teams and just lost.
But but you understand what I'm saying with the success. I guess this is the theme of the show. The recency bias, the success you've had recently, it hasn't been there with the ACC, unlike the SEC and the Big Ten.
Recency as in the last couple of years.
Yeah, the last, when was the last 5 years? I mean, how far do we want to go back? Clemson won.
We erased the last 2 years, and all of a sudden it's a lot of what ifs for the Big Ten as well.
Well,
so
they got lucky and won the first one with the Buckeyes as well. But I understand the point.
You got to be fair.
I understand the point.
You got to be because you
but I don't.
Same thing then 2 years ago.
But you would agree with me. Big Ten track record trending up, ACC trending down.
100%.
Okay.
But and you could have said that about the SEC and the Big Ten before those teams won the titles. But let's move on. Here.
Can I make one last point? I think Saban being out of the SEC is hurting them a little more than they think.
Number 5.
I would agree. The greatest. Yes, I would agree. Go ahead.
Well, you're going to have to wait a little bit longer before you see Bill Belichick in Tar Heel Blue because he will not be on your TV sets with Hard Knocks offseason edition on HBO. Tar Heels were reportedly expected to be included in the show, but the deal fell apart largely because of creative control. So HBO is still trying to find somebody for that. Which NFL franchise do you want to see on offseason Hard Knocks?
Kyle, can I take... I'm sorry, I got to get this out. I'm done with Hard Knocks. They could end it. I'm all done with Hard Knocks.
All right, well,
go ahead.
Now you're not going to answer the question?
No, I'm not, because I don't watch. Right. I stopped watching after the Browns were on it in 19. I think it's a waste of time. Go ahead, Colin.
I'm thinking of teams that are eligible. I believe it's non-playoff teams that are returning their head coach.
What I'll say is let's not put that in because it makes it very difficult when you include mid-season Hard Knocks, which is an entire division wiped out. We had an extra Hard Knocks last year because of the inception of the idea of off-season Hard Knocks. So I'll pose a different question for you. Whose NFL offseason are you most interested in?
I guess if there are no rules, no regulations to the teams that fit the bill and fit the criteria of what they're looking for in Hard Knocks, the teams, I'd be interested in how Schottenheimer demands the room in Dallas. I'd be interested in seeing how Aaron Glenn demands the room in the New York Jets. I'm interested in the new coaches. I'm interested in Aaron Glenn specifically. The Lions, I think, would be a very interesting one after that terrible loss, losing half their staff.
I know I seek permission to.
No, you said you're not watching. I don't.
Well,
want
you
your
asked it.
opinion anymore.
You asked a different question.
Fine.
You
Fair
asked
enough.
a different question.
Whose offseason are you most interested in, Mike?
The Raiders. If you're going to do this ridiculous TV show, throw Tom Brady and Pete Carroll and that owner on there. That'd be must-watch TV.
Yeah, but Brady's an owner. I don't know how involved he would be, but I understand the point.
He was recruiting Stafford in Montana.
No, that's an unfair knock.
Are we going to Montana, Christian?
We hear about Mara's sound drop about how I'm going to be sick and have a hard time sleeping, and Saquon ends up an Eagle. Like, that's the biggest takeaway from last year.
And that was the Giants and the Giants were not smart about that, letting that get out. They probably didn't think that was as big of a deal as it was at the time because they proofread both sides and try to alleviate what they release and what they don't. And the Giants got burned for that. So no team is ever going to do that again, but I understand the point. Christian, is there one that comes to you in terms of off-seasons that you were interested in if you were to do a regulation-free Hard Knocks?
So earlier today, me and Theo talked about this. Theo is headstrong and wanting to see the decision-making with the Bengals this offseason, about how you're going to have one receiver who's going to get more than taken care of, who's going to get record non-quarterback money in Jamar Chase, and a counterpart at the very same position in T. Higgins, who's getting franchise tagged for a second consecutive year. I think that would be very interesting to see, and Theo brought that up. I honestly, I'm jazzed up for the Vikings because I want to see the quarterback competition. I want to see the talks about whoever they get in, if it's not Sam Darnold and J.J. McCarthy. Who are they going to plan this offseason around at quarterback? Will it be Sam Darnold? Will it be J.J. McCarthy? Or will it be somebody else?
Yeah, that's a good one right there, too, because you want to see the dynamic of somebody new versus somebody of old and the success and where they kind of alleviate to. Yeah, you're right. In terms of the offseason, I mean, that you're talking about 1-4 season with the quarterback dynamic of them in training camp versus, somewhere else where you're thinking about the Bengals and their offseason decisions. So I guess two different types of Hard Knocks, but I understand the point. That was number 5, right?
Yep.
That was number 5. That was our 5 at 5. That was Christian Cat, Mike Rizzo, Colin Russo with you on ESPN 106.3. We'll take a time out here. Return after this, live from the SoFi Center in Palm Beach Gardens, Florida. TGL tonight, 7 o'clock, ESPN. Stick around. We'll take a time out. Back after this on ESPN 106.3.
Live from the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 1-800-747-FREE. This is ESPN 106.3.
This spring, speed returns to South Florida. NASCAR weekend at Homestead Miami Speedway. Where high octane meets the high banks. And gear up for spring break in the fast lane. 3 races, 3 days, one unforgettable weekend in racing paradise. NASCAR weekend at Homestead Miami Speedway. March 21st through the 23rd. Get your tickets now at homesteadmiamispeedway.com.
Are you annoyingly inattentive? Do you watch a movie and then ask a zillion questions because you weren't paying attention? Do people ask, how do you sleep at night? Then you should get a mattress from Mattress Firm. They can help anyone sleep. Mattress Firm's President's Day sale ends soon. Get a king bed for a queen price. Save up to $700 plus a free adjustable base with select Sealy mattresses. Get matched at Mattress Firm. Sleep at night. Restrictions apply. See store or mattressfirm.com for details.
Progressive knows if you have to choose between everyday life and your RV, RV wins.
What, are you going to take the RV to the mountains or go pick up your dry cleaning? RV wins! Are we cleaning the gutters or taking the RV camping? RV wins! Are we getting a new passport or cruising up the coast? RV wins!
Don't forget, you got that trip to Sweden coming up.
Oh, yeah. Passport, then RV.
With Progressive, you can bundle your RV with your home or auto and save with a discount and spend more time enjoying those savings in your RV. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers not available in all states and situations.
At St. Lucie Battery and Tire, batteries came before tires. We've been selling and servicing all types of batteries for over 50 years. So when you need a battery for nearly anything, we have it, as well as the fast professional installation you need. We carry premium batteries for all your needs. Automotive, commercial, marine, RV, and specialty. We also offer delivery and on-site installation, serving our customers quality products for over 50 years in the home of honest, reliable service. Go to slbt.com and book your next appointment.
Want to accelerate your career as a manager or executive in the exciting industry of sports? Florida Atlantic University's MBA in Sport Management program is ranked #1 in Florida and 10th in the world. Students learn practical and applied skills from top faculty and experts who work in the industry. With a 94% placement rate for all grads, the full-time MBA program sets students up for success in the world of sports. Check out Florida Atlantic University's MBA in Sport Management program today by going to business.fau.edu.
Are you one of those people that just can't focus at home? The dog barks, the kids are screaming, and you're thinking, how am I going to get all of this work done? Working from home can be distracting, but Intelligent Office is here to help you focus. They offer quiet and affordable private office and meeting spaces in Palm Beach Gardens to help you get your work done. Call 561-472-8400 or visit intelligentoffice.com to reserve an office today.
Calling all sports fans, grab your MVP card and head to Duffy's where you can catch all of the action. Not an MVP? Sign up for free and start earning rewards today. Duffy's is voted the best sports grill year after year with their award-winning burgers and wings. Don't forget about Duffy's famous 2-for-1 drinks all day, every day. And with over 80 TVs in every location, you'll never miss a minute of the game. Visit Duffy'sMVP.com to learn more. Duffy's, our game is always on.
Ready to take on any terrain? The all-new 2025 Defender 110 P300S is here. Built for those who crave adventure without compromising on luxury. Lease the powerful 2025 Defender 110 P300S for just $889 per month for 36 months. Whether you're tackling the toughest roads or cruising the city, the Defender is ready for it all. Don't wait. Visit Land Rover Palm Beach today and experience the Defender like never before. Terms and conditions apply. See dealer for details.
She ain't gon' tie me down while you on the road. Got all the shirts, all the hats, all the clothes. What you want right now? What up right now?
Let's get back to the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. This is Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 106.3.
I spent my Saturday over at Cacti Park of the Palm Beaches. Watched a little Nationals and Marlins action on a Saturday night, a beautiful Saturday night over here in West Palm Beach, because West Palm Beach, it's the place to be because spring training is here. Cacti Park at the Palm Beaches has all the action around the Nationals and the Astros. Enjoy the biggest stars in Major League Baseball coming to town. I know the Mets are coming to town. The Yankees are coming into town. Grab a cold drink, indulge in some amazing ballpark eats as well. Cacti Park has plenty of fun promotions for you and the family. Go get a family 4-pack. You can go and get involved in fireworks shows. Bark at the Park night. Take a guess on what that is. That sounds awesome. Experience big league action up close and personal, creating lifelong memories with family, friends, whoever. Tickets on sale now at cactipark.com. Don't wait. Secure your spot today, and let's play ball. Speaking of baseball, weirdly enough, I didn't think this would be the thing that came up over the last week, was Donald Trump, President of the United States, Donald Trump, came to the media and I guess expressed his defense of Pete Rose not being in the Hall of Fame. He says that, makes a big deal out of it. Donald Trump goes, Pete Rose should be in the Hall of Fame, the whole thing. And the funny part is, even after his, unfortunately, his death a couple months back, Rob Manfred, apparently it's reported now, that Pete Rose, he'll listen, quote, listen to a petition to reinstate Pete Rose and therefore get him into the, or make him Hall of Fame eligible, which he would get in with flying colors if he was Hall of Fame eligible. This is the exact problem. When Pete Rose passed away,
I thought this would happen, Colin.
This is the exact problem that I wish would not come about. Pete Rose is a polarizing figure. He's a polarizing player. He's a polarizing personality. And now all of a sudden you're going to try to get him Hall of Fame eligible because if whether it was the president saying that or now Manfred changing tune posthumously after his death, I think that is as phony and as soft as it possibly gets.
Probably is, but if it gets him into the Hall of Fame, I'm okay with it. I think Pete Rose should be in the Hall of Fame.
But
I do. And Colin, I hear you. Trust me, it's wrong.
He wanted to be in more than anybody.
I'm not.
That was Pete wanting to get in, and you're not even honoring that because you didn't do it during his lifetime.
I'm not gonna sit here and disagree with you, but I think he belongs in. If this is what it takes, if it takes a president of the United States to turn the tide, for sure. But no, I understand. But if it takes these crazy measures to get Pete Rose into the Hall of Fame, I'm all for it. I never got to watch Pete Rose. Obviously, I never got to watch the Big Red Machine. But certainly if I had a time machine to go back and watch a player, it would be Pete. With the way he played the game, with the fieriness that my grandfather used to tell me, it was a pleasure to watch the guy. And the hit leader, you know, I know that he gambled. I know that he was wrong, and all the MLB ever wanted, Colin, was an apology, and he never did it because he was so damn prideful and so damn stubborn. But to read what I read on ESPN.com today saying that I'll get in when I die, it breaks your heart. It breaks your heart on so many levels. Number one, on the Pete Rose level, never apologizing and admitting it. And number two, the fact that baseball can never reach out to him when he was alive, or rather not reach out to him, or rather figure something out when he was alive. Because I know they tried.
What point does this prove to anybody? Really? The only person you were that was really trying to prove it and really trying to get his name enshrined in the Hall is Pete Rose. Pete was the one. Pete was his biggest advocate. Pete wanted Pete in more than anything. He understood that he was wrong, and the whole thing with that, like Mike alluded to. But Pete was the one who really wanted to get, because he was a baseball player through and through. And now all of a sudden, after he dies, you're going to consider it. And whether they do or not, I guess remains to be considered. And I guess you're right. If their opportunity is there, you got to get Pete into the Hall of Fame because he deserves it. But my point is, you're not proving anything to anybody.
Yep.
You're not making any sort of change. This is not I wouldn't call this a positive news cycle story if that were to happen. I wouldn't call that a positive news cycle story if Pete Rose were to get in posthumously. I don't know.
Let me ask you this. If we open up the door for Pete, is this going to open up the door for the steroid era?
No.
Is this going to open up the door for...
It's a different thing.
Why?
It's a different thing.
Why, though?
Why is it? Because he gambled. He never cheated on the field. That was why.
You got to be a hell of an athlete to hit a 90. You know, I understand steroids are.
There's your answer. That's it. He didn't cheat on the field. He cheated off the field.
You know my opinion with Barry Bonds, and he's one of my favorite ball players ever. The fact that Bonds isn't in is an absolute mockery of the game.
I disagree.
But I wish that could have opened up the gates for guys from that steroid era who I think belong in.
Pete's not in for different reasons then.
I understand, but if we're going to look past this, are we going to be able to look past his steroid era?
But they're eligible. They're just not getting voted in. They're eligible. But they're not ineligible for the Hall of Fame.
You don't think that it's going to maybe run a course of, all right.
There's a lot of these guys who didn't get in on their ballots now can no longer get in.
You don't think Bonds belongs in the Hall of Fame?
I think the standard set, I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it. If you don't want to, listen, if you were so good, then don't take steroids. If you were so great, if you're the best player of all time, don't take steroids.
Never.
I understand everybody did it. And I understand it was good in a weird way. It was kind of good for invigorating baseball. But if in terms of comparison, baseball is the longest running sport of true history. If for the sake of comparison, for the sake of being tried in the most competitive Hall of Fame, if you're trying to set a standard like that, I have no problem with it.
I'll tongue-in-cheek say,
the
Bonds technically never got caught, right? Technically never got caught?
He juiced. Everybody knows he juiced. And there's certain guys that are in that probably shouldn't be in because it was all but a confirmation that they were juicing as well. But if you were such a big player in a big spot and you were so good, don't take steroids. If he was such a Hall of Fame player, don't take him. And he was great before he took steroids, but he was otherworldly after. He was great. He wasn't the best player ever, but he was great. He was unpitchable after he took the steroids. How am I going to put him in the Hall of Fame and hold him against the likes of guys who didn't choose? That's not fair. It's not fair.
Let's circle back around to Pete. How do you think his peers will feel if this does come to fruition? How do you think
I saw Johnny Bench, who's widely regarded as the greatest catcher of all time, who was on the Big Red Machine and had a up and down rocky relationship with Pete. I saw him speak at an FAU baseball luncheon a couple weeks ago rather. And one person asked Johnny from the crowd, "Hey, Pete Rose Hall of Fame. You think he should get in? You think they're going to change their mind on this now that he's passed?" The whole thing. And Johnny said one thing. He goes, "You have kids?" He said this to the guy asking the question. And the guy goes, "Yeah, I got kids." He goes, "Tell them don't break the rules, and then they'll get honored. Tell them don't break the rules." And everybody was kind of taken aback by the bluntness of that answer, but that was Johnny Bench's personality too. And he said, "Listen, I saw Pete his whole career. I saw the problems. I saw it ahead of time. I saw the booze. I saw the gambling. I saw it." And it was a little tough, but that was the standard that he was trying to set. Listen, if you want to be in the Baseball Hall of Fame, don't break the rules. The same thing applies for steroids. It's the same principle. And now, the one thing about Pete is on the field, never broke the rules. Never broke the rules. And the rules that alluded to in the gambling and shaving points, whatever you want to call it, he never broke the rules in regard to the integrity of the game. Never did.
He was the best competitor. Everything that I've heard, he was the best competitor, and
that's it.
Everyone respected him.
That's why it's a different argument comparatively to something like the steroid argument. Because the steroid argument is you openly use something that is banned and it's labeled as cheating to increase your performance.
I understand. And my problem is one of the best eras of baseball was that era. You're completely knocking out an entire era of baseball. Yeah, I understood. But you're completely knocking out an entire era of baseball that was widely considered one of the best. And they're going to pick and choose who they want, and I kind of have a problem with that.
Here's the problem.
You know what I mean? They pick and choose steroid users.
Well, I mean, it's guys who are caught. It's hard to do that because you can't just assume everybody's using it, and you got to only do the guys that are caught. That's just the nature of the fact.
Well, Bonds technically wasn't caught.
Everybody knows he
Bonds was caught.
He was.
If I get tongue in cheek because I'm a big Bonds guy, he was never caught.
In the cup in the bathroom, was never caught. But it was a known fact that he was hitting, that he was juicing up. That was a known fact. And there were guys
by who?
And there were guys who played in that era who didn't. So how is it fair to them to honor them playing the game the right way, quote unquote, versus that?
What was the WAR stat? And
they're making a standard set. And I agree with it. Because if it's banned now, it was banned then.
I'm surprised.
There was a problem then, and it's banned now. Why all of a sudden are we going to change our tune on it?
Clemens? You same way on Clemens?
That's the standard set.
God, he was unreal.
That's the standard set. And you know what? You're going to have to live with that. You juiced, you live with that.
Yeah.
You're not going to die. You had a great career. You were successful. You played in big games. You just can't be in the Hall of Fame. Oh. That's the bottom line. That's the bottom line. We'll take a quick time out here on Flip Side Things. Close out the program on Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 106.3.
Live from the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 1-800-747-FREE. This is ESPN 106.3.
Hi, I'm Scott Smith with Smith Ball Baez and Prather, Florida Injury Lawyers. As you have likely seen and heard, law firm advertising is at an all-time high. Attorney ads seem to be part of every radio and TV commercial segment. Some firms are even using paid actors and actresses to speak for them. At Smith Ball Baez and Prather, we know that the decision to hire a law firm should never be based on advertisements alone. It is our past results and many positive 5-star reviews that we encourage you to read at smithball.com to learn more about our law firm. We have board-certified lawyers. We have lawyers listed in the best lawyers in America and in super lawyers. But most importantly, we have experienced lawyers located right here in Palm Beach County and the Treasure Coast that are ready to be your advocate and your voice, and fully prepared to start fighting for your legal rights today. Our purpose, legal power. Our mission, huge results. If you've been injured, the lawyers at Smith Ball Baez and Prather will help. Call us at 500-HELP, 500-HELP. With Smith Ball Baez and Prather, help is just a local phone call away. Offices Palm Beach Gardens, Boca Raton, and Port St. Lucie.
Listen up, team. Recycling is just like football. You can't win if you're out of formation. Yellow bin? That's your quarterback. Give it all the paper. Blue bin? Wide receiver. Feed it all the containers. But no interceptions. Plastic bags and greasy pizza boxes have no place on this field. Now, follow the playbook. Get out there and recycle right. Sponsored by the Solid Waste Authority of Palm Beach County. Let's keep winning for the planet!
Let's get back to the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. This is Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 106.3.
Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 106.3, closing out the program here on a Tuesday edition, March the 4th, 2025. Colin Russo, Mike Rizzo, Christian Cat with you as always. If you missed any of the program today, want to listen back, listen to it in podcast format on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts, all those great places. Listen to it in full there, or stream us live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter /X at ESPN West Palm, streaming every day 4 to 6 on ESPN 106.3 on your radio dial as well. Davante Adams released by the Jets today. I want to circle back to this. We touched on it a little earlier. But in terms of prospects, in terms of where he could go, he is probably, him and Kupp, other than guys that you would draft in the NFL draft, he's probably the most prized wide receiver available. If you consider T. Higgins in that regard, that as well. But Davante Adams is somebody who is an all-pro caliber, tail end of his career. Now that he has basically free market, can go wherever the hell he wants. Where do you think you could see Davante Adams ending up?
What's that money situation like, real quick? What's a team going to owe him? Because he was a lot of money against that Jet cap. I don't know off the top of my head how much money a team is going to have to allocate to Adams since the Jets are cutting him. But to answer your question, in my opinion, the team that needs him the most is the Buffalo Bills. I don't think I watched the season last year and went, oh, the Bills need a receiver. But to put him over the top offensively.
But don't you think that the whole reason the Bills had that success is because the whole point was to get rid of the diva receiver?
Maybe, but I think on a couple of those plays late in the game against Kansas City, I think a receiver, a big receiver like Davante Adams, a possession receiver, a route-running receiver like Adams, could have helped in a situation like that. And I told you, I think, earlier in the show, I told you I think it's a really big year for Adams. I think Adams next year is going to have to put up or shut up in the sense of you got to go somewhere and keep your head down and prove that you're not a problem. You were a quote-unquote problem in Green Bay towards the back end when you wanted out. You were the huge problem with the Raiders. And then now with the Jets, I don't necessarily look at the Jets and go, oh, Davante Adams is a reason that situation stunk. But I don't think he helped being part of the Aaron Rodgers, gang or whatever we want to call it. So I think if he goes to a team like Buffalo and is able to be in the playoffs and in a situation in big games, I think that could be good for his career, and it'd be good for Josh Allen too. Remember when Tom Brady got Randy Moss? I know it's a pretty unfair comparison, but I think at that point in Randy Moss's career, he needed to prove something as well because he went to the Raiders, ironically enough, and it just didn't work out. Then he goes to a good situation. It's not a Super Bowl winning team situation in Buffalo right now, but it's that caliber of team. I kind of compare it to that where it could be the next level, Colin, with Adams and Allen.
Why'd they get rid of Stephon Diggs?
Well, they got rid of Diggs because he was a
pain.
problem.
He was a pain.
Did you not did you not just hear my thought of how Adams is going to have to be, put your nose to the grindstone and prove that you're not a problem? Come on, man.
Why are you so confident he's going to do that? Why would tells you that he's going to do that? Guys don't change. He's been in the league for 8 years. He hasn't changed.
Because I think it's put up or shut up time for Devontae Adams. I think he's tired of hearing how good Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson are. It's time to, if you still think you're a top-tier receiver, it's time to put up or shut up.
I don't buy that. I don't think that he's all of a sudden going to turn into, Mr. Lunch Pail guy, and we're not going to hear a peep from him throughout the entire year.
But Moss was a diva. Let's call it. Hang on.
5 games in, he's requested.
Moss was a diva. Randy was a diva, and he was able to put up and shut up.
Randy's a better player than Devontae Adams is. He's a better player.
Sure, but I compare it to that in the sense of, listen.
You went on this whole spiel about 35 minutes ago that he wasn't the Tier 1 receiver anymore, and he's lost a step in Father Time's
Go prove it. Exactly. My point is go prove it, Devontae, and the Bills is a great spot.
But what if it's true? What if he doesn't have it anymore? What if that's the take? What if he's not as good as he was? And he probably isn't as good as he was.
But you said, listen, he has the pick of the litter, okay? I don't know what the money situation is.
Why would the Bills want him then? Why would the Bills want him then? You're talking about Devontae. Why would the Bills want him?
I think
they got Stephon Diggs for the same reason.
You don't think the Bills could have used him in a situation late in the game against Kansas City last year?
It doesn't matter if they could use him. It doesn't matter if they want him in the
Kincaid dropped that damn ball.
You think it was a positive or a negative they got rid of Stephon Diggs? Is the receiver, and second question, is the receiver room better or worse?
I know they're, hang on.
It's worse, and they got better because of it.
Quickly, I know that receivers are divas. I think there's a big difference between Stephon Diggs and Devontae Adams in that comparison.
He was successful with them. He was a top 5 receiver in terms of statistics with the Bills. They got rid of him. It was an addition by subtraction. I don't think they're going to want to jump back into that pool. That's Mike Rizzo. Colin Russo here on ESPN 106.3. Closing out the TGL tonight at 7 p.m. Jupiter Lynx versus the Atlanta Drive. Catch that tonight. We'll be back at it tomorrow, 4 to 6 p.m. Don't miss it. It's been Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 106.3.
ESPN West Palm is highlighting the best performance of the week.